What's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube and Rumble subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush back at it again with another Just Chillin podcast episode. I was not going to do one tonight, was going to do something else. Then Joe Schoen got hired, or Joe Schoen once again. We aren't clear his pronunciation yet. All right, we're going to get the official word whenever he does his first press conference with the Giants, which is probably going to be tomorrow. But this man got hired at 12 p.m. today. They probably just finished working out the contracts, and as of 1 hour ago, he already conducted 2 interviews for the Giants head coaching job. Now these 2 interviews were with Brian Daboll, the Bills offensive coordinator, one of the more popular names out there for the Giants head coaching job, and Leslie Frazier, the Bills defensive coordinator. A name not so popular as Daboll, but I guess we shouldn't be surprised that a guy in Shane who was with the Bills helped build that, not only that team, but that coaching staff, would interview both of the assistants over there in Buffalo. And I guess the reason it probably happened so quickly is because they're all still in the same building technically, right? The Bills are still in the playoffs. The Bills are currently preparing for a divisional round matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. I'm not sure if it's Saturday or Sunday that Bills-Chiefs matchup is, but they're still all in the same building. And even though the front office for now is finished with their job because it's just up to the team to go out there, win games, and, hopefully get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, I guess he was like, they're down the hall from me. Let me go down there and interview him. And it's just, wow, he moved quick. He didn't waste any time. It hasn't even been a full 8 hours since he was hired. And we have 2 interviews for the head coaching position already out there. And it's 2 good candidates. Of course, I think we could all agree Brian Daboll is the more attractive candidate as of right now, but Leslie Frazier isn't anybody to sleep on. He is, of course, a former NFL cornerback. I think he played with the Bears in his career. He was a head coach before with the Minnesota Vikings from 2010 to 2013. And even though that didn't work out, he's been having a great time as the Bills defensive coordinator for the past 4 years. Much like the Bills offense, which is one of the best in the NFL, that Bills defense has been a mainstay for either the first best, second best, or third best defense in the NFL over the past 2 to 3 years. So it's 2 really good candidates right there. We all know that he's connected to Brian Flores as well, like I said today in my video reacting to this news. And we've even seen some things about Jim Caldwell out there and whatnot. But shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Super Taj, World, the Get Back with Ashton guys, definitely go over there, check him out. Caden, Jasmine, Ligma over here saying ratio. You can never ratio me, bro. I will out ratio your ratio. Max Webster in here as well. Okay, so the Frazier interview is tomorrow. Daboll was the one today. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So he already set up the Frazier interview. Mike B, what's up, man? Edward Chan, Giant Carvinator, what's up, bro? I haven't seen you in a while. Bark Nasty. So for any of you guys that want to call in, the link is pinned in the chat. It should be visible to all of you guys. The pinned message usually towards the top of it. Definitely go over there. Just click it. Call in and share your thoughts. I haven't spoken to Max in a while. Definitely want to hear what you want to say. Ligma, listen. Bro, if there's anybody that knows about if the Giants are keeping it P, the Giants are definitely keeping it P right now. All right? They've done everything correctly in the past 24 hours. And part of me is just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, as Nate usually says. He's waiting for the bad thing to happen because that's just how this team has been in the past 10 years. Part of me is waiting for that. I'm waiting for them to mess up somehow. I'm not going to lie to you. It's just been so long since they've had a string of good things happening or doing just a streak of only good. Got the first caller in here. Miz, what's up, man? Link once again is pinned in chat, so definitely hit that. It's Harrison, the Bucks fan. Harrison, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Hub? How are you today?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Congratulations on the GM. Great hire.
Hey, thank you.
Great hire. He took someone on the Bills. But anyway, I'm probably going to get off soon. But what are your predictions for this weekend? What do you got?
So who the Bucks playing again? The Bucks are playing what team?
Rams and Tampa.
They're playing the Rams? That's going to be a good matchup. I think my 2 favorite matchups this week is going to be Bucks, Rams, and Chiefs, Bills. Ooh, that's going to be a good one. I don't know if I could pick a winner there, man. I'm going to be honest with you. The Rams have been an amazing team. They're stacked. They're kind of the super team of the NFL. They got Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd, all on one defense. And on the offensive side, you got Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, who was like the league's leading receiver. You got OBJ, who's making a comeback over there as well. You got a great run game. That Rams team is stacked, and I know the Bucks are the defending Super Bowl champions, but they're gonna be put to the test, man. Bills, Chiefs. Honestly, I might pick the Bills in this one. Maybe it's just because we hired Joe Schoen, but like if the Bills win, that's just only shows how much good of a job this man did. I'm gonna pick the Bills. Maybe I'm a little bit biased right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. And
No,
then I think who did the Bengals play? They played Tennessee. I'm gonna pick the
right.
upset in this one. I've been liking the Bengals a lot these
Me too.
playoffs run, man. Joe Burrow, I think, is like the guy in the NFL. I think he's set up to be like the next big thing. In his first playoff game, he had a great one. Almost no mistake made against the Raiders last week. And then the final game would be Packers. Who do the Packers play? Packers 49ers, right?
Niners. Niners.
I think I'm gonna pick the upset in that one as well. That's a rematch of the NFC Championship game from 2 years ago. Packers Niners, and the
Yeah, I
Niners
watched that
absolutely
game.
whooped the Packers, man. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do anything against that defense. This is that defense once again, with a couple more years of experience and a couple newer players, but still very much the same defense. I might go with the upset there as well.
Awesome. Well, anyway, yeah, Tampa, Chiefs and Bucks. I mean, Chiefs and Bills is going to be a great game. But I agree with you. Bills have been looking great. Mahomes has been good. I think Bills winning on a game winner field goal, 31-28 final. Bills win.
Okay.
Tampa, I'm a little worried because Fournette's out at the moment. He's not out for Sunday, but he is currently doing better in practice, but I don't know if he's in for the game. So, injuries kill us. But anyway, yeah, great weekend. Great weekend for football, definitely. I'm going to one of my friends' parties tomorrow, watching probably the whole game. So, yeah, thanks for having me on, Hub. I appreciate it.
No problem, bro. Have a good one, man.
You too.
Very quick caller there. Don't mind it. I know Harrison. He makes his calls quick. Let me see what the chat is saying. Bark Nasty says my dreams are gonna come true. Shown with Daboll or Dorsey or are you saying that's the head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator combination? So you want Daboll as the head coach. It's Ken Dorsey, right, as the offensive coordinator, and Don Wink Martindale as the defensive coordinator. He said keep Flores away from the team. I'm gonna need you to expand on that by hitting that link and getting in here, Jordan. What up, Ian and Luann as well. So let me talk about Don Wink Martindale real quick because I think everybody found it a surprise when the Ravens let this man go. He has been a pretty good defensive coordinator for the Ravens for what 4 to 5 years now. The Ravens have always been a team known for their defense, and Martindale has only kept that defense up in the past couple of years. So, if I were to pull up what the Ravens' defensive ranking were, let me try if I could do that right now. Because I remember back in 2020 when we were hiring head coaches, Don Wink Martindale was also in talks to becoming a head coach. Obviously, he stayed with the Ravens. I remember in 2020, I wanted this man Wink to be our head coach so badly. So if we somehow get him as the DC, I'm gonna be very, very happy. I'll tell you that. But I'm also gonna be happy if we keep Patrick Graham, which a lot of people want as well. But like I said, let me see if I could pull up the Ravens defensive rankings from the past like 4 years or so. Let's see. Rankings by year. Is that a thing? There's a Ravens encyclopedia. Okay. Let's see. So their defensive rank this year was pretty bad, but they had a lot of injuries. So if I remember, they were the 19th overall defense. But the years before that, they were second overall in 2020. That's amazing. Third overall in 2019. Second overall in 2018. Sixth overall in 2017. Ninth overall in 2016. And I want to say he got there in 2016 or 2017. So Wink has been a perfect defensive coordinator, if anything, for the Ravens. And if he comes over here as a defensive coordinator, that's a good move, man. That's going to be a good move. I'm going to be kind of surprised if he does, though. I know, once again, he was let go by the Ravens. I would think he's going to shoot for a head coaching job. I guess not. We shall see. Shout out to Nikki in here as well. When do I plan on doing my mock drafts? I want to get the first one out sometime in mid to late February. I know usually my first one is out around this time of the year, but I wanted to wait to see who our head coach is going to be. I wanted to wait to see who the new GM is going to be. We're kind of in a new position here that I haven't been in when doing mock drafts. So I want to get those out the way first before I go forward. And so now that those things are I guess they're they've been decided, or at least one of them has been decided, and the other one is being decided right now. When all those is in place, I'm gonna do the mock draft. I have been doing my scouting a little bit. I already have a general idea where I want to go with all the picks. And as you guys know, my first mock draft, I don't do any trade ups or trade downs or anything like that. I leave that for the second and third one. Got the second caller in here. It's Adam. For those of you that don't know Adam, I don't know if he has a channel or not. If he does, definitely check him out. He always brings some good content. What up, Adam? How you doing?
Hey Hub, how you doing, man? And
I'm
yes, I
good.
do have a show. It's called the Hurry Up.
Mm-hmm.
It's on my YouTube channel, just Adam Costas. I usually do takes about the Giants or any other sporting event that I'm talking about. And I also have a podcast with two other guys called Premium Takes, where
Mm-hmm.
we talk about anything and everything in the world of sports. So thank you for having me on. And what a day! What a day, huh?
What a day. What a quick moving day. I think everybody's surprised that he's made one interview and already scheduled one for tomorrow.
Well, I think things were already in place. I know a lot of people were saying there was an ESPN article that came out that kind of, acknowledged the transaction. So for me, it was easy. Joe Schoen knew he was going to be the GM, and he probably was like Daboll and Frazier are going to be my guys. So moving forward, all they had to do was kind of just let him know. And I know that there's a wonky rule in the NFL where if you ask them after Sunday and they advance, you can't really ask them anything anymore after that.
Can you repeat
You
that
have to wait
rule?
until they get a look.
If you ask
I
them
said
what?
if you interview them prior to Sunday, you want to hire them or whatever, you can. If you interview them after Sunday, it becomes a little trickier because apparently something along the lines of since they are in strategy mode,
I was about to
they
say this
can't
is
move over.
specifically for guys that are on playoff teams or something like that.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Like they can hire Brian Flores tomorrow if they wanted to, right? But for Daboll, when he's on the playoff team, he has to be eliminated first before they can talk to him. So
Mm-hmm.
next week it would have been a lot harder for them to interview him if he advanced in the playoffs. So that's why they're doing it now. If they want to hire him, I think they can hire him, but again, he can't come over until it's done. Shane can come over because he's not in part of the game planning, so he can show up to MetLife Stadium on Monday and basically get started. But I'm very excited with what's going on. I liked Gettleman, but I didn't like the vision that they had. I think this breaks the Giants' way. Normally, that's what they like to do. Go with guys who have ties to the Giants. So for me, I like that there's a new set of eyes coming in, a young set of eyes. A guy
I mean,
who
yeah, how
is
old is Joe Schoen, man? He's like, it's
he's
such a
42 years
change
old.
going from what 70-something-year-old Gelman to 40-something-year-old, 42-year-old Joe Schoen.
Yeah.
Not only that, it was, I think it might have been Vibes Eli Rax who calls into my show sometimes. He's also on Twitter. You guys should definitely check him out. On one of my last streams this week, he mentioned to me, and this stuck with me, when Shane was in Miami, as I forgot what his role was in Miami. I don't think he was
A
the assistant
national
GM.
scout.
Yeah, he was a scout. He had a like an analytics guy that he would work very closely with in Miami. And
Right.
when he went to Buffalo, he took that analytics guy with him. I hope the same thing happens where he brings that guy over to the Giants because we all know that's something that's been missing from the Giants front office.
Right. I heard that Dave Gettleman was very behind the times. So maybe this will update what we need to update and to get us more information. Because the more information we have on these players, the better we are going to select them going forward. Right. And I just think the Giant fan has to wait, be patient, because this year is more of a transition year because obviously it's January. They have the Senior Bowl coming up in a few weeks, then the combine and all this stuff. So it's going to be hard to kind of change out your guys midstream. You're going to see changes as they go, but it's going to be hard midstream to get changes going.
I do want to say shout out to Timothy Firth in here as well. He says, should the Giants name Brian Flores head coach, Ken Dorsey OC, Ryan Wendell O-line coach, Marcus Dixon D-line coach and retain the rest of their coaching staff? That's a very loaded question. I'm going to say this.
Yes.
For the rest of the coaching staff, I don't know about that. They should definitely go through each of the coaching staff, and by day, I guess I mean mainly Shane. He should go through. I think he should give each of those guys interviews, just to see if they would align with what he wants or whatnot. Or at least there's one guy in particular he should definitely give an interview before letting go or trying to replace, and that would be Patrick Graham. And other than that, we'll see. I can't speak on O-line coach. I don't know that much in terms of the NFL or D-line coach. Of course, I've heard the name Ken Dorsey for OC a lot as well. What do you think about that, Adam?
Well, if it's Daboll, he's probably going to call his own plays, right? So you're not going to necessarily need that. If it's Brian Flores or something like that, and he brings in the guys, I'm just hoping that that's a good OC. Because the thing is, Mara has said that he's interested in Flores. Mara has also said a lot of stuff where, he's still meddling with the team, right? But he's trying not to. I think you just bring in the best guy for the job and work. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be here long term. So that's the big question. Are you bringing in a guy for Daniel Jones, or are you bringing in a guy and you're going to run your system and then see how it goes? So really, that's the X factor right now, because we don't know what Flores wants to run. So Flores doesn't want to run. He looks like he liked Tua, right? So for me, Malik Willis probably fits his offensive scheme and philosophy better than a Daniel Jones. But if you don't want to draft Malik Willis and you want to keep Daniel Jones, what's going to happen? I think if it's Flores, he's got to bring in a good OC. If it's Dan Quinn, we already know that he's chosen a good OC before. And if it's Brian Daboll, we know that he's going to be calling plays. So it's just a matter of, what coach you bring in and if they're going to bring in a good offensive coordinator. I don't know much about Ken Dorsey outside that he was a quarterback back in the day for Miami and not a very good one. But those guys usually make good coaches on the side. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see who they bring in. I really hope it's not a quick one and done and they only want Daboll and they're just doing, going through the motions.
Before you expand on that, let me read a couple comments in succession that relates to exactly what you're about to talk about. So Ash says, we're going to get forced into hiring Flores because the Bills will be in the Super Bowl, suggesting that we should probably get these interviews over with and maybe hire one of these guys. At least that's what I read the comment as, right? Then Max says, I don't really want Flores. I know you're not the same wavelength based on your Twitter post. And then I guess they have a little back and forth. Duran says, are we rooting for Buffalo to lose this week in order to hire in Brian Daboll? And shout out to Duran, a member in the chat. And then I'm trying to find any more related to that right there. Max says, Flores for me is Judge 2.0. Seems like his way or the highway, and he's even more conservative on fourth down than Judge. He couldn't keep an OC, and his offenses weren't good. No offense to Flores. So this is what I'll ask you right here, because it kind of seems, I don't know if you saw my live stream or my video where like we were talking about the Joe Schoen hire being on the ESPN transaction list.
Yes,
and
yes.
It'd be on the ESPN transaction list before they finish the final interviews. It's kind of a bad thing because it suggests those final interviews were just for show if they made a decision, right? So with that, just keeping that in mind, if we were to hire a guy like Brian Daboll within the next week or so, or like before the divisional round or whatever it was going in with the rule you were talking about, that would be a very quick head coach hiring process. How would you feel about a very quick head coach hiring process?
I would feel bad, especially because it is Daboll. And the reason why I say that is you cast a wide net and you get everybody's ideas on what they're going to do and how they're going to build this team. Maybe somebody has an idea you never thought of, right? But if you're going to go in right away with Daboll, then what's the point of even interviewing? Just interview him and then hire him, right? Don't say you're going to interview Brian Flores and then all of a sudden, you hire Daboll anyways. Make sure that you have an adequate plan. Like what they did with the GMs is exactly what I want to see them do with the coaches. They cast a wide net. They interviewed 9 people, and then they said, listen, we're going to eliminate 6, and these are the 3 guys we feel are the best. Don't just go, okay, it's going to be Daboll, and then Leslie Frazier to fit the Rooney rule, and then you're basically going to hire him. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to hire him, then hire him.
So let's take a step back real quick. Do you think the ESPN transaction was suggested or like is a sign that all of this was just for show, at least the second round of it?
Well, yes, I do believe so. I believe.
And how do you feel about that?
I think it. Well, I feel a little bad about that portion, but I think what happened was Adam Peters came in and kind of wowed them, and they were kind of taken aback, like, "Oh man, we're about to give this job away. This guy Peters comes in. Let's really think about this, and then let it go." But let's be honest, they knew they wanted Joe Schoen from jump. Everything else was basically a farce. I'm glad they brought in good guys to see exactly what they wanted. The problem that I have is if you wanted Joe Schoen, you should just brought in Joe Schoen and Adam Peters and called it a day, and then and then announced it on Tuesday, and then did not have to sit here and waste more time. Because basically, what you're doing is wasting more time, right? He could have been here on Wednesday getting his stuff together. We could have a press conference on Friday, and away we go.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, now we're cramming in 2 interviews to get Daboll in and Leslie Frazier in. Who, by the way, do you really think they're going to hire Leslie Frazier? I don't.
I'm
You
gonna be
know,
honest with you, and this is no disrespect to Leslie Frazier. Let me not trip over my words here. He's not really a guy I was thinking about, for the head coaching job in the first place.
right? Well, think about it. Like he was good in Minnesota, had one good season, but when has he like resurfaced in the head coaching ranks? I mean, yes, his defense is doing good, but he's not like you said. I'm not thinking about Leslie Frazier coming in
Yeah.
here and
The
being the next
only
coach of the Giants.
the only previous coaches, or like the only two guys I was initially thinking about it that were previous coaches were Jim Caldwell, but he's nowhere to be found. So I don't know if he's known
Right.
the NFL. And Brian Flores. I've very
Yeah.
briefly entertained Jim Harbaugh, but I guess that's not happening. I've seen him more connected to the Raiders than anything else. But it's been those two guys. And then the Dan Quinn name popped up, and I do want to say at first I was completely opposed to it. And by the way, guys, I do see you in the back. I see Jordan in the back here. BPS Kashif. I'm gonna
Don't
get you
worry,
guys on.
I'll
Don't worry
jump
about it.
off.
Yeah, no, I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel like I'm rushing you or anything either, Adam. We got time, right? But where was I? Oh yeah, so the Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
Initially, I was against it, but shout out to Diggy.
Right.
Diggy talked to me about it because he knows what I want in a head coach, and he knows that what I want isn't exactly realistic. Because I said I wanted a veteran head coach. I wanted somebody that, as a veteran head coach, showed a history of winning at some point in their career, showed that they could turn a team around. Those are three things that you're not going to find. Dan Quinn actually fits all three of those. He's a veteran head coach.
Right.
He won when he was in Atlanta. I mean, he got to the Super Bowl, and he
Exactly.
had a playoff season or two afterwards. Things did fall apart when Kyle Shanahan left. Yes, they did. We could acknowledge that. But for a while, he was a really good, even great head coach. And he did turn Atlanta around. Atlanta was a 4-6 win team before he got there. So I just want to put that out to the Giants fans as well. I know he's not a perfect head coach, but let's not shoot him down immediately.
But I look at Tom Coughlin, right? He came from Jacksonville, and they were in the playoffs and AFC Championship games, and then the wheels fell off the bus in like 2002, and he was fired, right? But are you going to say that Tom Coughlin's a bad coach because he basically built a program? You can't just base it on it. Remember, we took Pat Shermer, who was far less credentials than Dan Quinn, and brought him in as a head coach. If you had told me Dan Quinn's coming in to coach the Giants in 2018, and he had the resume he has now, I would have been ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can't be picky about things. He built an Atlanta team. They went to the Super Bowl. Okay, they had 7 wins or more for at least 4 seasons with him, right? And sometimes things happen where people, relationships get stale. Things. Look at the Giants with Coughlin, right? They kept Coughlin, and then boom, he had a couple bad seasons, and they fired him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're all thinking like maybe they should have kept him and added the free agents, that they gave to McAdoo, and see what would have become from there, right? So I can't just judge a guy like Bill O'Brien is another guy that people poo-poo, but I'm like, he took a Houston team, built them up, made them good, drafted Deshaun Watson. And
I think we could definitely agree though that he built that team up and then tore it down at the same time towards the end.
Right.
Yeah.
He did when he was the GM. He got a little big head about him, and that's what happens when you become a personnel guy. The only guy it worked for is Bill Belichick, right? But everyone else who wants to be Bill Belichick, even Holmgren had that problem when he moved to Seattle. Right, he wanted to be the guy that called everything, and that ended up being too much on his plate from being a coach and the GM. Because you could just walk around firing everybody, like, "Oh, you don't want to do it my way, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired." You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of pressure on you, and then you got to make the draft picks and do all the GM stuff. Like, it doesn't ever work out. So, for me, I'm not saying bring in Bill O'Brien, but that's a guy that I like. I want for the Giants, and this is why I'm a little. Daboll's my number 2. I want a guy like Flores who's come in, who's done it, who's built a program like Miami. Miami stunk when he got there, and Then he built them up where they were in the playoff hunt in 2020, and they were in the playoff hunt this year. I tell people he won 8 he went 8-1 down the stretch. That's like a playoff game every week to
And
fight
and
to
and
make.
I'll say this, I want listen, I initially wanted Flores, and I still do. It's not like I'm about to shoot him down, because I made a video saying like Brian Flores would
Right,
be a great head
right,
coach for the Giants. But I'm not gonna lie when I say everything that came out about him from Miami is worrying. You know, the fact that during
right.
that 7 game stretch, he almost had nothing to do with it. He wasn't talking to any of his players. He wasn't talking to any of his coaches. It was his coordinators doing all the jobs and whatnot. And just throughout his tenure, not just this year, he was like almost a very difficult guy to work with. I'm just like, it does make me worry. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right. Right. And and like someone said a quote where it's like you got one side, you got the other, and then the truth somewhere lies in the middle, right? So
Hmm.
maybe some of it's true, maybe all of it's true, maybe none of it's true. I don't know because I'm not there in that situation. All I can see is the results. And the results are that, your head coach is the CEO of the team. So if those guys are doing well, it's because they're under his tutelage and his game plan, right? So I don't know. I just think what I see in him is like maybe a Coughlin type guy, a guy who was down in Miami, Jacksonville, had some struggles, built the team up, and then got fired. I mean, there's a reason why he was fired. He didn't want Tua. The guy, the GM and the owner liked Tua, though they didn't see eye to eye. They fired him. So the Giants have their pick of the litter in terms of what they want. Flores wants them, and they kind of want him, and Daboll wants the Giants. This place is a desirable place. So make sure that you get in everybody that wants to be here. Make sure you do your due diligence, and you're not just hiring the next thing. Now, if Daboll goes off to be the one of the best coaches in Giant history, I'll eat crow. I'm hoping he does well. I want him to do well. But I'm just saying, don't just make it one and done, kick the Rooney rule out with Leslie Frazier and then hire him. If he's your guy, fine, then hire him on Tuesday. Don't even bother reaching out to Flores or Dan Quinn. Just,
Hmm.
if you're going to do it right, do it right. Don't just half-ass it and then say, "Hub, see, here we are." Right? That the
Hmm.
Giants have been known to half-ass. So, anyways, Hub, thanks for having me on. Want to get some of these other guys on. I'm sure they want to talk to you. And great stream. Thanks for having me on again. And go Giants.
For sure, guys. Make sure you check out Adam. He has the Premium Take podcast. He also has what was the other one you said the name was that you
The
run by
show the,
yourself?
the show is I do is the Hurry Up.
The Hurry Up.
I've been doing it since 2011. So if you want to see a skinny Adam, you can always check out the videos there.
Oh, this man's been
Little
on it for a
skinny.
long time, man.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I had divisional playoffs, divisional takes. There's a video on there about me ranting about Josh Freeman being a top 10 quarterback because they said that on ESPN back in the day over Eli Manning. So it's kind of funny take. But hey, love the show. Thanks again for having me on, and enjoy your night and weekend, and enjoy the playoffs, people.
For sure, man. Adam, have a good one. Thank you for calling in, man. Let us get to the next caller. Actually, before I get to Bark Nasty, let me first get to any comments I might have missed. Of course, thank you guys, all y'all, for tuning in. Let's see here. Max says Patrick Graham is a great coach and the players love him. I heard from a player that they only signed there as a free agent because of Graham. Totally, I want to keep him if it works out. Durant says maybe Graham didn't have all the players to be successful. I could definitely see that as well. Shout out to Christopher in here. Wolves in here. Why Wolves? Why when you tune in, the first thing you said is ratio? And bro, I swear I blocked this Flash guy multiple times on the channel. How does he keep coming back? This is ridiculous. That man ain't got nothing else to do with his life, yo. Let's see what else here. Shamar, what's up? How you doing? Jon Snow Targaryen, how you doing? Hey, Marjorie is there. What's up, man? How you doing? And Patrick Rivera, how are you doing? Bark Nasty, what's up, man?
Yo, what up, dude?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Yeah, good. I'm just gonna start by checking all this Flores stuff.
Before you
Keep
start,
this
what you
man
think about the new logo?
the new. I don't even think I've seen it.
Oh, damn. Okay, if you watching on YouTube, you can see it's right next to Joe Schoen's head. The new, I found, well, actually, not new logo. I don't think I've ever had a logo for the Just Chillin' podcast. I just made it yesterday, but go ahead, man.
Oh, I have to check it when I hop off here. Yeah, Flores, keep him away from our team. I just guess I don't really get it. Maybe it's because of how bad this franchise has been recently. What has Flores won? I'm convinced personally that Giants fans only want Flores because they think he has some sort of connection to Watson. And I don't even think that's a guarantee. The guy hasn't won anything. They started, 0-7, 1-7. Somebody just put it on Twitter. Every game they won was against nobody. The Jets, us, Carolina. The dude still got fired. He's never been able to get along with his staff, with ownership, with a GM. He's Joe Judge 2.0. He's another New England reject. Why do people want this? I genuinely don't get it. So I'm asking from somebody that would even consider him. This dude would not even be on my board. I would take Leslie Frazier before him. I'd rather Raheem Morris. Personally, I want offense. That's the only reason I don't want a defensive coordinator. I want to go out and drop 50 burgers. Enough of this old school New York Giants nonsense. We need to join the new age. I want to be dropping 50 on people, ball in the air, innovative mind. I would love Daboll. Get Dorsey. He'll probably bring Dorsey in as his OC, because you're still going to have a coordinator, even if Daboll is calling the plays. He's still going to have an OC or some sort of offensive assistant. Get a Martindale. Keep Graham as DC. I'd take that. I can't get on the Flores train, and I actually get more worried every time I hear that he's even linked, and that Mara was apparently saying he already talked to him and he would clear
Mhm.
cap space. It's a nightmare. I don't. It scares me to death. We got to get offense, or we got to get it. At least I know, you hire Dan Quinn. At least I know that guy can hire an offensive staff.
At
He
least one
brought Kyle
time.
Shanahan.
One time. Let's not forget, he
Yeah,
also tried to replace Kyle Shanahan and got Steve Sarkisian, which was a terrible hire.
yeah. I mean, that's true. And like I said, I would prefer to not have any uh, defensive coordinators brought in as the head coach. Like I said, you still got a lot of old heads that are like, I don't want my uh, head coach calling plays. Look at some of the head coaches in the playoffs right now. Look at the LaFleurs, the Shanahans, the McVays. You get rid of that old mindset you got. The days of these special teams coaches or these drill sergeants, these New England rejects coming in to be head coach. Get that out of your head. There's nothing wrong with a head coach calling plays and having offensive assistants. We need to move forward. I'm glad Mara is moving forward. I'm super stoked about the Shane hire, and I think he's going to end up making the right decision. And if he does hire Flores, I'll get behind him
Hmm.
because I like the direction we're moving in, and I'll get behind him because he's the new coach, and hopefully he makes something happen. But yeah, the infatuation with him really, I don't get it. I
So
don't get it. But
before I respond to that directly, shout out to Lestat in here. Has been a minute, man. Thank you for tuning in, along with Levance. Appreciate you, bro. Chris, I did not call the hire, and shout out to KB. He's in here as well. It was a Young Gun podcast on his channel this week. I didn't call the hire as much as I was just highlighting something that was on ESPN, and I was trying to do a bit of digging on my own. And I was like, this all just suggests Shane is gonna be the hire. Stephen Bloom and Fluid in here as well. Shout out to Farhan. You guys see that watermark new logo right there? That's the man that basically did the job for that. All right. So now with Brian Flores, because like I said just last week, I was like fully on the Brian Flores train, and like I was describing earlier, I am a bit worried when it comes to him. I'm not gonna lie to you, just a little bit worried with all the reports. But I don't feel like you should completely shoot him down either. Just like I was saying with Dan Quinn, people call to his above 500 record like by a game, but I'm gonna go with Adam here. Before he got to Miami, Miami was a whipping boy in the AFC East. They were a dumpster fire of an organization. They had like a year or two winning with Ryan Tannehill. I think one of them was 2016. I can't even remember who the head coach of Miami was then. And that was like with that with that coaching staff that had the cocaine scandal in 2017 or 2018 or something like that. So listen, Miami was not a good team before he got there. So I'll say that he did help build that team, and I'm gonna continue to reference the fact that apparently he was a difficult guy to work with and whatnot. There's been a lot of coaches in the NFL that were difficult guys to work with, but he helped build a really good team in Miami that has been a playoff contender or been contending. Let me correct myself. Been contending to get in the playoffs for the past 2 years. And that is something I definitely think that you should not put down lightly. Lightly. Now, whether or not he's the guy, I don't know. Whether he's going to be a good hire, I don't know. But I feel like you should treat Brian Flores the same way you would treat a guy like Leslie Frazier, for example. Like you would say you would take Leslie Frazier before him. Why? Leslie Frazier as a head coach was worse than Brian Flores, in my opinion. He had one winning season with the Vikings, and everything went downhill after his first season, right? So, like, I feel like you should consider them in the same length. Leslie Frazier is a
So
great.
here's what it is.
He's a great defensive coordinator right now for the Bills, right? The Bills have had an amazing defense over the past couple of years. When Flores was at that level, he was a great defensive coordinator for the Patriots.
It's that Patriots nonsense. So, like, that's what I'm talking about. That's honestly what scares me. Not only the fact that I just don't want a defensive coordinator in here, it's the tough guy attitude, the not getting along with anybody in upper management, being incapable of hiring and keeping a staff. I don't want that. We need to move forward in a different direction. Do we really want Joe Judge to like? And is that what we want? You want compete? You want what did he win? 4 games his first year, 8. This like, dude, that's not good enough for me. Give me the risk. Give me the unknown. People are. I guess one of the things people are worried about is I want a head coach with experience. Dude, I don't. Joe Judge was a different story. He's exactly what I didn't want. A New England reject, the tough guy act. Give me an offensive mind, a new, innovative offensive mind that can hire a staff, has connections throughout the league, and let's start putting up some point. Offense needs to be a priority around here, and I just don't need another tough guy, Belichick wannabe out of New England coming in here because I just see it burning this place down in 3 years. He'd probably take Shane with him, and we're here talking about 2 wins and a rebuild again. And that's just not.
This is what I'll say
Or
because I
Shane's got
don't
to hire a head
disagree with
coach.
what you're saying. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I definitely disagree with the comparisons though, because Joe Judge was worse than him. Joe Judge was out here talking
He
like out of
was.
his backside in the press conferences. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you won't get that with Flores. Like I said, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but the comparisons, because I see a lot of people making it, he's definitely not a Joe Judge 2.0. Like, let's get that out the window, right? But I recognize what you're saying, and I could see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think it's probably my just craving for something new and some offense
So
around
who do
here.
you
To
want?
be
Do you
honest with you,
want
man,
Brian
like
Daboll? We're seeing Joe Madden. Oh, Joe Madden's talking about the NBA in here. But with Pep Barrios in here as well. Caden, we're seeing a lot of people talking about Brian Daboll. You're saying let's get him as the coach. The Bills quarterback coach as OC. Fangio as DC. Thoughts? My thoughts is that almost seems like a pipe dream with how perfect that sounds. I'm not gonna lie to you. But who do you want?
I want Daboll, and it does sound like a pipe dream. But to be honest, haven't we all kind of had that idea since the start? It never seemed like anybody but Shane was going to get the job. The Daboll links have been there with the Shane link since before he was even hired. And I think like the last guy was talking about, and I like a lot of stuff that he was saying, but I do disagree with the sense of just because you know who you want to hire shouldn't stop you from them still completing a process and interviewing other people. You know what I mean? They could have known from the jump that they really wanted Shane and still be like, okay, let's do our, due diligence. Let's bring all these other people in and be like, nope, you know what? He is still the guy. There is nothing wrong with having a favorite for the position, and the same should go for the head coach. If he wants Daboll, still do your due diligence, bring in these other coaches, do your interviews, and if at the end of it you still think Daboll's the guy, you bring him in. Now, yes, I want him. I think he would bring instant offense to this team. We're going to move in a new direction. I think Shane's going to blow it up and get us an injury. I don't expect winning, year one, but I just want to be moving in the right direction. And I also think that these two are guys that could attract a decent defensive coordinator. We might get a guy like
Listen, if
Martindale
we let
to
go of
do a
Pat
lateral
Graham,
move.
if we let go of Pat Graham, I'm telling you, the guy I'm targeting is Martindale, man. I wanted him as our head coach for crying out loud back in 2020. Go for that, man. Go for that, man. Anybody from the Ravens, like, I know this is going to sound weird and biased, but anybody from the Ravens is always good, man. Go for Martindale. he's one of the best, if not the best, defensive coordinators out there, bro. Like if that's if Shane says and whoever the head coach is, they're like, yo, we're gonna move on from you, Pat Graham. It's been great. You have a good defense over here. You did your thing. We're gonna move on. If that's the case, Martindale is the guy to get, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would love that, and I never bought that nonsense from the beginning of people don't want this job. I tried to tell people on Twitter even earlier in the year that,
And
oh,
by the
didn't
way,
want to fire Joe
Mark Nasty was
Judge.
like the first dude to say Judge is gone, like in week 2.
Yeah, and but the thing is, like, at the same time, I was telling people like that's just not how it works. That's not how people think. No aspiring GMs or aspiring head coaches are like, oh, they're firing a guy after 2 years again. No, it's because they didn't perform. They know the standard once you get hired into a job. Firing, hiring does not make the New York Giants, this legendary franchise, any less desirable. And as you can already tell, it's obvious that people around the league are wanting to come here. I would venture to say we are the most desirable, both for coaching, for the GM that we did. I mean, look at the candidates we were able to bring, and look at the people who were interested in the job. I mean, who everybody is saying what the Broncos were the best. I mean, come on, like this is a desired destination. We have draft capital. In a year, we're going to have tons of cap space. I see no reason why we couldn't bring back a Pat Graham or go get a Martindale to make a lateral move, or get a Vangio. I truly think I think we're gonna end up with Daboll. I think he's gonna bring over some sort of offensive assistant, and I think we're gonna end up with either Pat Graham, Martindale, or Vangio. Which I mean, I'll be
Any
speechless.
any one of those 3 guys for DC would be a home run hitter in my opinion, which is why I'm like, it just sounds too perfect, you know? Like
Yeah,
that right there,
and
that
it probably
sounds
is,
almost
but
like a pipe dream.
we're due though, and maybe that means we're actually doing things right, and it's honestly it's probably the reason I have too much hate towards them, or not hate isn't the right word, but I just don't want to keep doing the same things we've been doing. I want nothing to do with Flores,
Mhm.
man, and like I said, if we get him, I'll get behind him, especially if he gets hired and brings in a reputable OC. Maybe he goes out and gets a Dorsey or something like that. Then maybe you can get me on board. But I'm just so scared of doing the same old stuff. And when you heard some of those comments that Mara was saying when he was talking to him, I'm like, oh no, don't do that, don't do that. The Deshaun Watson stuff, and I would take Watson, by the way, if everything cleared up. I don't want to get into that whole thing, but I'll trade every pick we got for the next 3 years to get a 25-year-old top 5 QB. But I'm not bringing in Flores just on the off chance that maybe I think he has some sort of link to that. I'm just that's not the move. But
Yo, Raj, I'm pretty sure I already answered
yeah,
that question, bro. I'm just responding to a couple people in chat. Um,
no, you're
well,
gonna.
Philippines. I don't think Bark would start bandwagoning, but I think he would probably assume whoever we hire. Not assume. I think he would probably support whoever we hire. Like a lot of Giants fans, I think should support whoever we hire until they give us reason not to support
Yeah,
them.
bro, it's got nothing to do with bandwagon, and this is
Yeah.
this is my team. Like I told you before in other videos, like I'm not even a player. I'm a Giants fan. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna get behind instantly whoever's the coach and hope they succeed. It's got no, if we're three, we're winning 13 games, 14 games with Flores. I'm gonna be hyped. I'll still, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't change anything. People get like that. That's just that weird idea. I think it's like a Twitter thing, and I can not want to hire this dude now and then still be like, you know what? If the team hires him, I'm 100% behind him. You know what I mean? Like I'm a fan. It's just an opinion. At the end of the day, the dude comes out and wins 14 games for my team, then yeah, like I'm gonna be hyped. So it is that. Yeah, that's got nothing to do with it. It's not a bandwagon. It's.
Yeah. And you're Raj. I'm pretty sure what I said is I would like that. I just have to look into the Bills quarterback coach a bit more. I think there's a lot of good OC candidates out there. I really hope there was a report saying that Pep Hamilton wants to stay with Houston. I really hope that he changes his mind. Because the more and more I looked into that dude, the more and more I kind of fell in love with his resume. He was offensive coordinator at Stanford when Andrew Luck was there. Andrew Luck came to the NFL with the Colts. He became the quarterback coach for the Colts, and I think he might have been the offensive coordinator at one point. I'm not sure. At one point, he was the offensive coordinator for the Chargers, and now he was the quarterback coach for Houston. That guy has a lot of potential. He worked with some great QBs. He helped develop some great QBs in Andrew Luck and Justin Herbert. We'll see. There's a lot of good OC options out there. But Bark, let me get your last thoughts, whether it's on the OC, the DC, or the head coach before you hop out here, man.
Yeah. On the positive note, super exciting day. I probably haven't been this excited about our team in 5 years. I like Shane, and if we're all being honest, man, it probably is going to be Daboll and some sort of combo. I mean, let's be real. You think Shane, a new young GM, is bringing? Who really thinks that he's bringing Flores and O'Brien in? You know what I
No,
mean?
he is
Like,
connected to them, though. He is connected. Just like how there's
no,
been
he
reports about
is, but I
Daboll. There's
mean,
been reports about that.
but you're talking about some hard-headed dudes that, in the last two jobs they've been in basically wanted to be the GM and wanted a piece of the organization. Maybe if he really has a relationship with them, I get it, but I just don't see a new young GM that's coming in to blow up a situation, bringing in Flores
Mm-hmm.
and like O'Brien. I really think it's probably going to be Daboll, man. But hey, I'm excited. Appreciate it as always, dude.
Hey, have a good one, man. Thank you for calling in, and have a good one, bro. Let's get the next person up. It will be Mike, then Kemp, then Kashif. So first, let me respond to a couple of comments here. Jon Snow, Target. Oh no, it was Christopher that says, "What about Bill O'Brien for OC?" Let me look at Bill O'Brien's resume real quick, because let me not just judge him on the fact that he completely dismantled the Houston Texans, because he was a head coach / GM then. But let's see Bill O'Brien's resume. All right, so he was at Alabama, just like how Brian Daboll was at Alabama. So let's see. He was the not offensive. When in the world was he with Alabama? Oh, he's at Alabama right now. Oh, he's the offensive coordinator for Alabama. So if any of you guys that watch college football, I'm guessing, yeah, he did have a great offense, or a really good offense at Alabama. At Penn State, he was a head coach before the Texans. He was with the Patriots in 11 as the OC. The Patriots in 09 to 10 as the quarterback coach, wide receivers coach, offensive assistant. Okay, I wouldn't want him, I'm be honest with you. I don't know. I'm scared of Bill O'Brien. I'm really going to keep it real with y'all, man. I'm kind of scared of Bill O'Brien. Let me get, shout out to Giants Opinion Sports in here as well. What's up, man? Mike, what's up, bro? How you doing?
Here, what is up, Kush?
What's up, man?
Man, oh man. We got him. We got him.
We got a good dude.
Yup.
Got a really good dude.
Yup. And for my OC, I mean, head coach, I want Daboll. It's just something new to bring to the table. I wouldn't mind Flores.
All right, real quick. Daboll rhyme with table. Bars. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Okay, go ahead.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my mic was just acting up.
Okay, sure.
Can you repeat?
Okay. Okay, so I was like, Daboll rhymed with table, bars, don't hate the player, hate the game. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So, man, I just want Daboll. And I have to ask this question. If we bring in Daboll, there could be a possibility of the Giants retaining Evan Ingram for about a 1 to 2 year deal, prove deal, because Ingram and Dawson Knox basically are the same as talented, but I think Ingram has a little bit more speed than Dawson Knox.
I mean, at the end of the day, Knox comes down with the football, doesn't he? I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah.
Or I should say, I hope that's what it comes down to. I hope that whoever comes in here as the head coach, along with our guy here, Joe Schoen, they're going to look through the roster and truly evaluate as to the
Yeah.
best of their ability. And I feel like if they do that, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, Evan Ingram should not be on this roster if they're gonna do some true player evaluation, because it's just too much inconsistencies, man. Too many inconsistencies. I mean,
I know. But it just seems like the type of tight end that Daboll would want,
mm-hmm.
like an athletic freak. And I feel that they can work with Evan Ingram on his hands because basically all his mistakes are fixable.
I don't know.
Wouldn't you agree?
I'm gonna respectfully disagree, just because if it couldn't be fixed in 5 years, why in the world would I? What would suggest it will be fixed now? Like, he's gone through a bevy of offensive coordinators, offensive
Mhm.
assistants, and tight end coaches that were supposed to help him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't
But
know. I don't know, man.
I just want to make this clear. I'm not saying like long term. Like if he wants like 14 or even 10 to 12 mil, he's out of here. I'm saying like a one
Oh, real
year,
quick,
like,
another good point that Alex brings up is that Dawson Knox is definitely a way better blocking tight end than Evan Ingram is.
true. That is true. But yeah, just basically like a 1 year prove deal for 4 or 5 mil.
Mm-hmm.
But
I would
I
I would
mean,
be content with moving on from him, to be honest.
me personally, I would too. I'm just putting it out there so
Mm-hmm.
that Giants fans aren't like get caught by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But man,
So
it,
earlier in the season, I remember you coming on here and saying very strongly, "I'm done with this team." How you feel today?
I'm back. I'm back.
They drew you back in?
Yeah.
A word?
Oh, when I said I was done with
Oh no,
this
I
team,
understand what you're saying,
I
but we gotta
meant
do
for
it.
the year.
We gotta do it for entertainment purposes. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now that they
Yeah.
got Joe Schoen, who are you looking for at the head coaching position for them to completely reel you back in and keep you?
Daboll.
Dable. So let me read a comment here. Marjorie, thank you for pointing this out. She says, Dolphins fan that was on Tana Stream earlier said the problem with Flores was that he was stubborn and quick to fire staff if they
Mhm.
disagree with him, which was what I referenced earlier. And I mean, if that's the case, yeah, I definitely go from saying he's a perfect head coaching candidate for us to saying, oh man, I'm not sure if I want him anymore. Jon Snow says we need a promising offensive mind, whether it's a head coach or a young OC. I feel like that aligns with your want for Daboll as well. So go ahead,
But
Mike.
he just follow back on what you said. He
Mm-hmm.
also said that management also wanted Watson. So the reports that we were hearing that Flores wanted Watson and the upper management didn't want him is a bit false.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just I'm happy.
I'm gonna
I'm
ask you.
happy
Let me ask.
because
Oh, go ahead. Let's finish that. Yeah.
I'm happy because Mara does this whole GM search
Mm-hmm.
the right way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do you want to ask?
Well, first of all, I want Hilltop. Thank you for subscribing, but Hilltop, be very respectful, man. Show some respect to Mike. Mike is a channel legend. He's been like sub to me since I was like below 1,000 subscribers. You probably I'm assuming you're new around here, so you don't know his story. Dude is very smart. He's a football coach. And he had a stroke last year. That's why he sounds the way he does. But Mike is a smart dude. Don't be saying things like that, man. All right, chill out, yo. If
Yo, what the hell did
it
he say?
mods, if you see this man continuing to kind of bash on Mike,
What
y'all
the
have
heck
permission to do what you could
did
do.
he say?
He was like, "I'm losing brain cells." Listen, man, chill out, bro.
Yeah.
Mike, I
I'm
apologize for that,
losing
man.
brain cells just listening to this blasphemy.
Exactly, bro. Nah, chill out, man. Y'all, Mike is a smart dude, bro. All right, Mike be coaching out here. Don't get it twisted. Let me ask you, one thing I didn't ask anybody else yet, which is with Daniel Jones, right? If you get your guy in Brian Daboll, what's the story with DJ before? What's the story with DJ?
I mean, me personally, I would keep DJ as a Birch quarterback for a year
Mm-hmm.
and possibly I'm trying to trade back for this year to get more draft capital to try to trade up next year for a quarterback. If
That's
for
the 2023 draft, right?
yeah, like Stroud and Bryce Young.
I'm gonna be honest, bro. If we do get Dable, I'm gonna just trust whatever they do with the quarterback position. If they stay
Yeah,
with DJ, I'm gonna be like, all right, they see something in him. I'm gonna trust them. If they wait for a quarterback next year, which is like what I want to do, build up the line, get the quarterback
yeah.
next year, I'm all for that. But believe it or not, Mike, if they take a dude like Malik Willis this draft, I'm gonna be in on that as well. Like, is that too much fate I'm putting on these guys?
Nah, me. All right. This is the thing. I think, like, if we get Malik Willis in the second round, do it
Mm-hmm.
because I think his draft stock is falling because lack of competition. And when he played competition, I believe they played Ole Miss this year and Syracuse, and he did not do good against them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for like it's lack of competition
Mm-hmm.
for him. That's why his stock is falling. But by all means, if
He's
he's
very
there in a second,
he's a very talented prospect.
yeah,
He is.
yeah, he has a lot of upside. So
And I do
if
agree with what
he's
a couple
there in
people
the
I do agree with what
if
a couple people are saying in the chat. They're saying they wouldn't want him at 5. I don't think the thing is, I don't know. I don't think he's gonna last to the second round. So if the Giants could somehow trade back to the mid first and still snag him, I guess that's the only way I could see us getting him. Well, yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like trading back into the first round and getting Malik Willis, like if he falls to like 25 or 26,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be okay with that because we do have an early second round pick.
Yeah.
And
We could make
so
some
you're
moves. We
probably
can definitely make a couple moves.
yeah. But like I was saying, I wouldn't even be opposed like trading back to like wherever Pittsburgh is
Mm-hmm.
drafting and taking a shot to see if Linderbaum falls to there. He probably won't. I will even take Kenyon Green there because most mock drafts I've seen so far have him in the like mid 20s,
Mm-hmm.
lower 20s. That way, because Pittsburgh is gonna need a quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether they trade for one or draft one, that's up to them. But I'm just happy to be a Giants fan right now.
It seems like we're moving in the right direction for
Yeah,
sure, and I hope that it continues. I hope that there's no like I was saying earlier, no other shoe that's about to drop and then something bad happens. You know what I mean? But Mike, let me
yeah.
get your last thoughts before you pop out here, man. You said Daboll season. Anything else, bro?
Just everybody that hasn't yet sub up the hub. He's a true friend. He's a bro, and we always talk on Discord. And just sub up the hub, join this Discord, and that's it.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good one, bro. I'll catch you
You
later, man.
too. You too.
Before I get to the next caller, guys, shout out to everybody here. You guys showed support for Mike. I appreciate that. I know he's gonna appreciate when he gets back in there as well. Lucas, a member in here. Philippines Exploration for sure, man. Thank you for being in here. I see you telling everybody to like up the stream as well. Definitely hit that like button. It only helps get this stream out to other people in the future and the channel out to other people in the future. Thank you for that. By the way, Philippines Exploration. I got amazing guy in Calvin in here as well. Calvin, an Arizona fan, for those of you that don't know. So thank you for letting me know how you feel about that. He says, wonder who he chooses for head coach. So am I, man. Listen, let's get Kemp 10 on here. Kemp, what's up, bro? How you doing? I believe this is the first time you calling in.
Yeah, how's it going? Can you hear me good?
I can hear you, man. What's up?
Uh, it's been a long time, man, but we're finally here. I feel different about the Giants than I ever have in my whole life.
Just
Since
tell me,
since those
how are you
early Super
feeling?
Bowls,
How are you feeling just last week compared to how you're feeling right now?
I was checking Twitter like every hour to see what was gonna happen next. Because
Mm-hmm.
in my mind, I was like, there's no way they can just sit here and watch Joe Judge do the stuff that he does. And then he was fired. So I was like, okay, they're really trying to get back in the right direction
Mm-hmm.
of things. And today's the day they hired Joe Schoen. So now we have hope.
By the way, was Joe Schoen one of your favorite candidates or like your favorite candidate coming in or no?
It was like most people, it was definitely between him and Adam Peters for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Joe Schoen just by how fast that he and Brandon Bean built up that Buffalo Bills team. And like him and Peters are both good, but at middle round picks to late round picks, I think even if you just look at the Giants, if we hit on some of those, our team could look a whole lot different than what it does now.
Mm-hmm.
So having somebody that you can trust during the draft, I think is a sigh of relief for Giants fans.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I agree
the
with you,
funny,
man. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was gonna say like the funny part is we don't really know what's gonna have happen on draft night, but I think we could be excited because I finally trust the general manager to make the right decision.
I was gonna ask you about draft night actually, and shout
Oh,
out
what
to
were you gonna say?
Moses. Shout out to Moses in here, G537. I was gonna say, what do you want to do draft night? You
See
specifically.
now that we have Joe Shane, I don't really know. I think we have a lot of options for sure. If you, I don't want this, but if you like a quarterback, I would put one pick down for like a Charles Cross or
Mm-hmm.
Icky if you can get him. I am starting to like the idea of Brian Daboll if he is a head coach to pair him with Malik Willis. I think could be something special. I honestly think that. I don't know why. I was on the two offensive linemen first round thing, but that's how I'm feeling at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. So I agree with the Malik Willis thing because I think that's what I was just talking with Mike about. If we take him, at a not the fifth, I don't know with the fifth pick if we take him. I don't know how I feel about that, but let's say not with the fifth pick.
Yep.
If Brian, and it's a big if, right? If we get somebody like Brian Daboll as the head coach and he has a really good offensive coordinator under him, then yeah, I'm definitely going to be a bit more excited about what could potentially come with this offense and this quarterback and how he would develop going forward. If we don't do that, I'm really all for the two O linemen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm all for the tackle, all for the center. However they want to go about that O line, that's what I'm for.
Right. And like if you look at the well, not just the Bills offensive line, but it's kind of a mixture throughout the NFL. Like they have first round talent on their offensive line, but then you also mix in some free agents and also middle round players that are able to be starting level players. So I think what's something also to think about is they might surprise us and take an offensive lineman or like best player available for both. Because there's some studs coming out in the top 10 this year for sure.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel about? I see, for example, Hilltop saying Neal and Karlaftis. I would really take an edge if one of those top two drops, but let's be honest, they're probably not going to drop. Would you
Right.
take a shot on one of the other edges in this class?
What do you think about Ojabo?
That's a guy that plays across from Aiden Hutchinson, right?
Yep. What do you think about Ojabo?
I don't know if you're gonna like my answer because I feel like it depends on who we get as our defensive coordinator.
DC? Yeah.
If we get a guy
That
as
is
our
very
DC,
true.
yeah, if we get a guy as our DC that like has shown and proven before that he can develop players, he could develop edge rushers really well, then I'm gonna feel really I would feel good if we take David Ojabo. If we get a guy that's for example, let me bring up a former Giants defensive coordinator that's with the Chiefs right now, Spags, right? I don't know how people are gonna take this. Spags had a good defense when he had talented players on it. He wasn't necessarily developing them. Because like you look at 2016 onwards, when players went out with injuries, he couldn't really do much to develop the guys that were on the depth chart to try and, supplement that. And that's no disrespect to Spags. I mean, he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. Defensive coordinator, he did a lot for us, right? So it all depends on if we get a guy that could develop David Ojabo, because it's very clear that Ojabo is not on that level of Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson, where it's like he's a game wrecker. He's gonna come in like a guy like Nick Bosa and automatically be a number one edge. I feel like he might be on. He's gonna come in and be on the same level as Azeez Ojulari, because a lot of people forget Azeez got 8 sack as a rookie. That's incredible, and he's only gonna get better going forward, right? So it would depend on the DC, bro. I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, that's true. Also, something that I've been seeing a lot on Twitter too is a lot of people are trying to say, not necessarily to the Giants, but just in the like top 7 or top 10, Kyle Hamilton. Whatever team he goes to, I think he's gonna be a player that everybody wishes they had on their team.
And
he might not be right for us like at the time, but I think he'll be really good.
I recognize Kyle Hamilton as the best safety in the class and one of the best players overall. Ash Money has brought it up to me a couple of times along with Nate. I'll say this. I'm not for drafting a safety in the first round right now. I don't think it's our prerogative. That's just me.
No, I 100% get that. That's unfortunately we have other needs to go after.
Let's take care of I feel like the priorities first before we do that.
Yeah, that was one thing, and then you kind of answered all the other questions that I had about like Brian Flores.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was on the side of if we get Flores, then we might get Watson, and I think that'll kind of electrify the franchise if you have Deshaun Watson come in and maybe start turning things around. But at the same time, I'm willing to wait.
Yeah, I'm willing to wait and to develop something as well. I'm not a big guy on the Watson train yet. A lot of it has to do with just the law side of things. I want to see how that plays out. I'm very consistent on the channel. Like I call Big Ben, for example, big rapist because I believe that man was guilty of the stuff he did in the early 2000s. The Deshaun Watson things is a bit more murky because we all know that Houston's ownership is kind of not the best people. people wise, right? So I'm just putting it out there. I'm gonna wait for the legal side of things to clear up before I put out any opinion on the Deshaun Watson stuff.
No, I get that.
Hmm. Hey, Kemp, let me get your last thought, bro. I appreciate you calling in. Definitely hope to see you Tuesday. In case you didn't know, Tuesdays is when the regular calling show happens. But I had to go live tonight because the Joe Schoen.
Oh, for sure. The last thing I'll say is it just feels good to be a Giants fan.
Can't argue with that, bro. Cannot argue with that. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too, man.
And peace out to Philippines Exploration, bro. Thank you for tuning in. Definitely want to see you in the future. Same thing with Nelson, and I appreciate Giants Opinion Sports and Ian for explaining to Nelson with the question he had. Next up, we got Kashif, then Giants World, then Moses, then Alex from Big Blue in the Bronx. Kashif, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's going on, Hub?
What's up?
Man, it's finally good breath of fresh air. Finally having some optimism going in. To be fair, we had quite a bit going into last year, but
We did have a lot in last offseason.
But then
yeah.
I think last year there was a sense of like, all right, it's like all or nothing this year. Like it did have a chance to blow up in our face, which it eventually did. But definitely happy with this hire right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, any of the hires would have been great, but I feel like Shane was the front runner for a while.
Probably, yeah. I feel like he was probably the safest. I think like Poles or like Peters probably like because I think they're like more untapped, so they're might have had like higher upside there. But I think Shane was definitely like the safest with like a good enough upside to like really be excited for. So you might have mentioned who'd say is your like number one coach like right now on your list? If you had to pick.
If I had to pick, I really don't know if I have a number one because I have the guys that have really good things, but I also see their cons, right? So the cons for everybody that's never been a head coach before is obviously we have no idea how they're going to perform as a head coach. Like that's just a gamble, right? You hope to the best of their ability they're going to be something great. So that goes for guys like Brian Daboll. That goes for guys like Eric Bieniemy. For those of you out there that still want Eric Bieniemy, goes for a multitude of people. However, Brian Daboll has been an amazing offensive coordinator. He's been almost a quarterback whisperer, you could argue. He has his pros. Brian Flores has his pros as well. We discussed his cons ad nauseum. I'm going to just go with, shout out to My Philippines for the subscription. I think there's really just 3 coaches right now that we can discuss because there's only 3 coaches that have had a connection to Joe Schoen. The 2 coordinators from Buffalo and Flores. So it would be 4. You're right. You're right. 4. Let me add Dan Quinn out there. So Dan Quinn, Leslie Frazier, Brian Daboll, and Brian Flores. So there's only 4 we could really talk about.
Yeah, so I'd probably say Daboll amongst those, but definitely. So you guys mentioned draft. I know one name you thrown out a lot, like Giants, Twitter, Reddit, all that is Linderbaum. How do you feel about Linderbaum, the top 10? Like,
I would definitely want to take Linderbaum, man. Definitely with the 7th pick, not with the 5th.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Like I want to take a tackle first. You got Evan Neal and Akeem with the name I can't pronounce.
One of those will be there for the first one. Yeah,
both of them are amazing tackles, like incredible tackles, which I'll talk more about in my mock draft video coming out in February. But definitely get Linderbaum if you can, man. Linderbaum at 7 would be amazing. This guy may be like, a Quentin Nelson type player in this draft. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say.
What I'm thinking, I would definitely be down after a trade down. Just like I know it's the typical talking points, center at 7. Like you draft him. If you draft a center at 7, he's probably already like top 10 paid at his position. Like same thing we went through with like Saquon too. So I definitely I see like a lot of the potential in him. It just feels like
there's also the possibility of a center dropping. We've seen it before. We saw it last year with Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey was like the best center in the class. And that man dropped. Did he drop to the 2nd round or the end of the 1st or something like that? He dropped a lot.
End of the 2nd, yeah. End of the 2nd. But yeah, he's definitely good. So what was I gonna say? So would you be fine with Karlaftis too, 7? Or I don't know. I've heard a lot of mixed things about him. Like I think he's like a high floor, like low ceiling kind of guy.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd take him at 7. I'd definitely take him if we were to somehow get in the mid rounds. I feel like there's definitely a drop off when it comes to this edge rushing class. That's not to say it's bad because it is a deep edge rushing class.
Yeah.
But there's clear differences between some players.
Yeah, like Hutch, Thibs, and then just it's a pretty deep drop off. But But would you take? So you said Ojabo. I think he should be pretty. So you said you'd only take him if we get like a really good developmental coach or
Somebody, a defensive coordinator that we just know could get his
good
potential.
develop. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like it is kind of hard to judge. Like he's playing alongside like Hayden Hutchinson too. So
Mm-hmm.
based on it, what was I gonna say?
You good there?
Yeah, just a little stuffy. What was I gonna say? So wait,
I got a question for you if you can. I
yeah,
remember your question.
yeah, I've had something in my head. I just like lost my train of thought.
No,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
It happens. It happens to all
Yeah,
of us at some point, in
yeah.
our life or our daily experiences.
Yeah.
Who do you want as that? You asked me, so who do you want as the
Coach.
head coach?
I mean, out of like you said, the names you mentioned, like probably Daboll, like Frazier. I'm not sure because like he wasn't great. He was a head coach in what, Minnesota, right? Or
Daboll?
Frazier,
Oh, Frazier. Yeah, he was a head coach in Minnesota.
and he had like one good season. That was like the legendary AP season, right? And then outside of that, he like wasn't great, right?
Yeah, he was like all right as a head coach,
Yeah.
but he's a great defensive coordinator.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about him. Quinn, like I know everyone's gonna bring up 28-3 and all that, but like if that's our low point, blowing a lead in the Super Bowl, like if that's our knock, I'll take that over 5 years of never having a winning record at any point. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I think if he can put together a staff like a good OC like he did in Atlanta, I'd definitely take that. So
Mm-hmm.
out of the names being thrown around like Daboll and Quinn, I'd honestly find even Flores, like you said, like I see like the pros and cons of it. So it's really hard to judge. I think his like pros like would help us a lot, but it's like at the same time if he's just another judge type of like Belichick wannabe again, like like it's some. I'm not saying like he definitely gets some of those vibes off. So I'm not sure about Flores. Like I wouldn't be like mad about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know about that.
Yeah. No, I hear where you're coming from. Like, there's a lot of, like I was saying, there's a lot of pros and cons to all the head coaching candidates. Do you have anybody in mind for offensive coordinator?
I mean, whoever the coach is, I think it probably depends. I think Daboll will probably bring who's the QB coach again from Buffalo.
From Buffalo, I think that's Ken Dorsey. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, him. That was the name. Yeah, so I'd say probably have some continuity there. So if he comes in, he'll probably bring somebody he's pretty familiar with. I'd say that. So but yeah, it's definitely just we just need some like an offensive mind to get here. It's just been too long since we've had like a nice like explosive offense.
Yeah. But let me get to a couple of these
Yeah,
comments here. Hilltop says fired one judge to hire another judge. One Joe to hire another Joe. I'm not gonna lie, I peeped that as well. We traded a Joe for a Joe. Hopefully this is a way better Joe. Giants Being Sports says Giants have been a fan run franchise since the Eli benching, hence the results. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. Because if we were fan run, we probably have Isaiah Simmons instead of Andrew Thomas right now. You know what I mean? And I feel like we definitely have Rashawn Slater instead of Kadarius Toney. But yeah, any last thoughts from you, Kasha, before I pop you out? Did you remember that
Thanks
question?
for having me on. It was great to finally have some optimism going in.
Yeah.
So definitely great times.
For sure, man. Have a good one, bro. Peace.
Thank you, Sierra.
And guys, we got a legend on the Giants Instagram community coming up right here. Y'all need to go fire this man. Has a great IG. Did I say fire? I'm stumbling over my words. Y'all need to go follow this man on IG if you already don't. I think he has a couple thousand over there. Giants World on Instagram. Great update page to get your Giants update. This man is very timely with it. Very good graphics. Like, he knows his way around either Photoshop or Illustrator. I'm not sure which one. I'm sure he's going to tell us which one. But he knows his way around it. He gets it up in a timely fashion. Shout out to Giants World. What's up, man? How you doing, bro?
Thank you for that intro. If it was up to me, I would have probably been gone by now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nah, man. But so what do you use? Is it Illustrator, Photoshop, or another thing?
No, I actually used Photoshop before, and then my laptop broke, and then I got my Mac. So I actually use a free software on Google. It's called Photopea. It's actually pretty great.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you forward that link to me? Because I have access to Photoshop now, but it's only been a couple days. What I was using before was Pixlr. It's like an online
I used
editor.
to use that too.
Yeah. But yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I mean, I think the atmosphere around the Giants is completely different now. It's kind of funny. Last week everyone was so down, and then this week there's so much optimism. It's kind of great, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And you recently started a YouTube channel, or is it something that's
Yeah,
been up for a
it
while?
was like a week ago. I was actually on a podcast called the Big Blue Podcast, so check him out. He's a great guy. I just decided I wanted to do more of like YouTube instead of just creating hour-long podcast. Kind of similar to what I do on Instagram, break news, talk about rumors and all that kind of stuff. I find that pretty interesting.
And I mean, you
But
get them
yeah,
out pretty quickly. Like, how in the world do you get them out so quickly?
I make the graphics and stuff on my phone, so that's pretty quick on there instead of
But
having to go to my laptop every single time.
heard you. So, hey, man, yeah, man, the floor is yours. What particular topic did you want to talk about?
I mean, the GM search was really going on, and then I think we interviewed like 9 guys. I mean, you and Kid Blue came up and said ESPN said we hired Joe Schoen already. I mean, it wasn't really obvious, but he was the first guy being interviewed, and then also first guy brought in for the in-person meeting. So it was kind of it was hinting in that direction that Mara was going to go. There was also the connections from Bill Parcells, and he also worked in Carolina with Dave Gettleman, so there's still a little bit of Giants connections here and there, but nothing too major where, he's going to be affected or he's going to be able to be, manipulated by John Mara.
Yeah. And I mean, I think we all hope. There's been several reports saying that the new GM, whoever he is, was going to have complete control. He could wipe everything clean if he wants to. I hope that's true because I just want this man to just do his job without any outside interference.
Yeah, and he's gotten right to it already.
Yeah,
Interviewed 2 guys
yeah.
for head coach.
Oh,
Yeah.
so already interviewed Brian Daboll. That was very quick, wasted no time. And then I was corrected earlier. He scheduled the interview for Leslie Frazier for tomorrow. Was what he did.
Yeah, I mean, that's still pretty quick, less than 8 hours, and already interviewed one guy, but I think we know how that meeting went with Brian Dable.
Yeah, I mean, he
That's
probably
one of
just had
his
to
guys
walk down
there,
the
so
hall.
yeah,
Like he probably literally just had to walk down the hall and go to Dable.
yeah.
Anybody you got in mind other than Dable for the head coach? I mean, there's only 4
I was
names.
high on Brian Flores to start. When he was fired, I was like, he's definitely a guy that we should get if we do fire Judge, because at that point, I think Judge was still our head coach. But then when you look at it, there's all these things that come out. He didn't have a good connection with the front office. He went to Tua and said that he'd rather have Mac Jones, all that kind of stuff. So like I'd rather have a guy who's gonna he's gonna be able to connect with the players, because it's gonna be Tom Coughlin. We all know what happened there. He was this type of hard nosed guy. He didn't really care about the players, and we weren't winning much either. But you lose respect of the players as well. You lose the locker room. It's Ben McAdoo all over again in a way. And it's Joe Judge all over again. So I wouldn't want someone like that. But if he's willing to change the way he approaches everything, he learns from his mistakes in Miami. He learns why he got fired. Then I'm all open for it. I think Mara's also looking into him a lot. He's the one who reached out to him. I think, recently, I think it was like a half an hour ago, where Mara, it was like a tweet came out saying that Mara's willing to push back some dead cap and willing to take that on to clear up
Yes,
cap
I
space
saw
right
that.
now.
Yeah, so listen, a lot of people start speculating that maybe that's something related to Deshaun Watson. I don't know. What it does tell me though is that if they're saying they're willing to just cap, they're trying to do anything and everything to just right the ship, is what it's saying to me.
Yeah, I mean it's not really Mara like, and then I think the fans have really gotten to him this year.
Mm-hmm. Let me post your YouTube link in the chat. Oh wait, that's the wrong link. Hold up. But yeah, no. Where are you with Daniel Jones, man?
I think he deserves another year. I think he wasn't given a good hand, especially it was really similar to Sam Darnold. No offensive line, no weapons, no coaching staff around him. But if we do fix the offensive line, go to offensive linemen this year, I still wouldn't expect too much just because they're going to be rookies. Then Andrew Thomas, who had a great second year, he also struggled that first year. But weapons are definitely there. Galladay, Tony, even you could include Slayton in there. Saquon should be much better this year, coming off the ACL and the ankle. But he definitely needs to improve. If he doesn't, I think he's going to serve as the bridge quarterback this year. If he plays well, then you think about extending him. If he doesn't, you move on. You look at the draft, and if you don't like anyone in the draft, just sign someone for cheap.
No, I agree with you right there. I could definitely see giving Daniel. I've been saying let this be a two bird with one stone situation. He gets another chance with a completely new staff, hopefully a fixed O line, and at the same time, because of his cheap contract, if it doesn't work out, he is that bridge quarterback. You know.
Exactly. I
So
mean, I wouldn't mind
yeah,
drafting a quarterback this year either. Not in the
who you
first
looking
round, but
at?
if it's like the
Malik
second or third
Willis,
round.
Kenny Pickett, anybody?
There's not like that number one guy where, it's like a Trevor Lawrence or Joe Burrow where you would, trade up for him. But with the fifth or seventh pick, I think there's no one there. I think in the second round, if Malik Willis is there, I wouldn't mind taking a shot with him. I don't know who would fall to the third round, maybe Ritter. But I mean, at that point, it's kind of like Jalen Hurts all over again. You're just messing with DJ's head, and then let's say if he was going to perform well, he's not going to, because of the pressure on him. But I think he definitely needs to be put like on the hot seat. Bring in someone through free agency who's established. As a great backup, maybe you could start maybe like someone like Marcus Mariota. His name comes up a lot. His play style is really similar to DJ. So if DJ does go down, he could fill in.
A lot of people have thrown around the Marcus Mariota name out there. I mean, we definitely need to upgrade the backup QB position this year. I'm not trying to roll back in with Mike Glennon, that's for sure. Anybody else on the team you think could potentially be replaced? Maybe Saquon, something like that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Saquon could be gone, but he's definitely going to be here the first 8 weeks, and then let's say if he does have a great first half of the season, I think he could get traded. But I don't know. You're not going to get much from this offseason. You got to wait for the next offseason. I mean, at that point, he's also going to be a free agent, so no one's going to be
I don't.
willing to
Yeah, I don't
trade for
think you're
him.
gonna get anything next offseason
Yeah.
because he will be a free agent, and his trade stock probably is really low right now. Same thing with Daniel, right? If they're trying to get rid of these guys, if they made up their names about them, they need to do it soon. They need to make up their minds about them really, really soon. But Giants World, let me get your last thoughts, man. Let the people know where they could find you before I pop you out here, bro.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm on YouTube now and obviously Instagram. I've been on there for like a year now. But I think the Giants are headed in a great direction. I think this is probably the best time to get on YouTube as a Giants fan. The last almost 5-6 years have been really miserable. So hopefully we see a change in that and Giants start winning games.
For sure, man. Hey, have a good one, guys. His links are in the chat there. Make sure you check him out, especially on Instagram. Dude is on it, man. He's on it with the news updates and rumors, bro. Have a good one, man.
All right, thank you for having me.
No problem. Next up, we got Alex from Big Blue in the Bronx, and we're gonna close it out with the get back from Ashton. Let me quickly do this. And Alex, how you doing, bro?
What's going on, Kush?
I'm good, man. What's going on? You were all smiles.
Yeah, I'm very excited. This is the guy I wanted. I'm really enticed for this head coaching stuff because not just because, well, we're getting a new head coach, but because I get to do a lot of research on it as a content creator. Even though I don't want Brian Flores as our head coach, and I share the same skepticisms with a lot of other people. I have 14 pages of notes on him.
Jesus, how'd you take
Yeah.
so much?
Well, I mean, it's screenshots, it's a couple other things as well, but I've also done my fair share of going out to different content creators. Like so far, I reached out to somebody who's a Bills fan talking about Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen and Leslie Frazier. And I also last night reached out to a Dolphins fan about Brian Flores. So there's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of stuff I took in my head already, but I'm really excited for this head coaching search. Obviously, Dan Quinn, I don't want him as a head coach. And there's a lot of points out there that second time, third time head coaches actually have won the last couple of Super Bowls. Last year was Bruce Arians. His first head coaching opportunity, I believe, was with the Arizona Cardinals. Before
Yeah,
that,
Bruce. Yep.
Andy Reid. He was the Eagles coach, obviously, everybody knows, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of points to be made there, but I'm just not a fan of Dan Quinn. Another guy I think the Giants have interest in, or they're scheduling to interview him. I don't know what the case is Todd Bowles. I feel like he could be a good head coach somewhere with good talent. I just don't think it's going to be in New York because I feel like a little bit, and I'm not a Jets fan. My brother's a Jets fan, of course. He kind of cracked a little bit, not angrily, just didn't have many responses to the New York media when he was trying to win football games and when Sam Darnold was the rookie quarterback. So that's just my opinion there. My number one guy is Brian Daboll for the job. Haven't really looked at a lot of other candidates just yet. Obviously, I'm doing my work on Leslie Frazier and Brian Flores. Other than that, Daboll's my number one, and I really don't have many other candidates. I just have to do research. But
I mean,
what are your thoughts on this whole process?
we don't have much to discuss on in the first place, right? Like I said, there's only 4 that we could really truly talk about.
Yeah.
Hilltop's been saying it in chat. You know, he says, you know, Shane was hired on the 7th, so we must have a head coach by now, which is something I want to bring up to you because you asked me about the process, right? Let's talk about the GM hiring process first. If that is true, which, you know, the whole ESPN transaction things, you know, is, I don't know whether us hiring Shane says, oh, yes, that's true that we actually hired him on the 7th or something like that. Like, what does that tell you? Does that tell you, is that what it suggests to you, or does it just suggest ESPN knew about this and they're listing it early for some reason? Like, what is your take on that? Because
There's a couple of
that does affect the GM process, right? Because if your take on it is that, oh, he's been hired since the 7th, then does that mean a lot of the GM process was for show, or does it mean that it actually happened earlier and we're just getting the news now?
Well, I think that, to be honest, from what I hear around Twitter and all the other spaces and stuff, is that Joe Schoen was actually talking with the Giants before Dave Gettleman retired. And John Mara was interested. Obviously, Steve Tisch is the guy that never steps in until the end of the season when the firings come along. We all know that. But you know, Mara seemed to like this guy from the start, and I think they just brought in. I liked how they did the process. A lot of outside guys. If you wanted my number 1 through 4 in terms of the GM candidates, Shane was always my number 1. My number 2 was Adam Peters. My number 3 was Ryan Poles, and my number 4 was Joe Ortiz of Baltimore Ravens. But I really liked how they did this process of bringing a lot of the outside guys in. Nothing really Giants connected. The only few Gettleman or Giants connections were the fact that Ryan Cowden, the vice president of player personnel for the Titans, who interviewed, he was um actually with Gettleman, I want to say, in the front office in Carolina for a few years. I want to say Bean also as well, but Bean obviously is a good general manager. And Monty Ossenfort and Judge worked like this apparently, but once again, Judge was fired, so Ossenfort
Yeah.
probably never really stood a chance in the top 4. But once again, I like how they did the process, and I honestly think that Shane once again was the number 1 the whole time, and they just brought in candidates to see, okay, do we have anyone giving Joe Schoen a run for his money? Because in my opinion, he was the most qualified candidate from the jump, not just evaluating talent, the scouting system. Obviously, he mentioned a couple of times in a couple articles that they rebuilt the whole scouting system. You know, if
Which,
it's
going back
true,
to what they were saying, if Shane does get full control, I want the man to scrap our scouting system immediately and
yeah,
like replace it. And
yeah.
by
I
the
mean,
way,
he's
shout out
not
to She
gonna.
Got Sports in the chat. Y'all need to check out Lauren, great content creator and friend over there, man.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So in my opinion, yeah, he definitely does need to do that. I think what now, obviously, it's John Mara, and he obviously cracked under the pressure of the nepotism questions. But if there's anything that would happen to Chris Mara that'd be a positive thing and not too positive, because we all know Mara has his hand in most things, even though the new GM's coming in and stuff like that. I feel like that Chris Mara would get a lesser role in terms of title because he's known as the player personnel director, whatever. He'd probably
Well,
get down.
he's known as like VP of football operations, something like that. Joe Shane got the title senior VP of football operations and general manager. I feel like that's probably what you're saying.
Yeah, he probably would get a title down because obviously everybody's questions were, okay, well, you know, he obviously gives his opinions on different college prospects and stuff like that. Why does he have such a big role? Why is he in the GM meetings? And we
Hmm.
all know the reason. It's John Mara and his brother, and you know, Mara cracked under the pressure. But with that being said, I'm just really I forget what was going out before, but I feel like obviously once again going back to my first point that Shane was the number 1. They got guys in the running. They wanted to see if anyone had Shane run for his money or whatever that phrase. And apparently Buffalo reporters started reporting it, or the Bills. Something relates to Buffalo that they started reporting it even earlier
Hmm.
around the time of the ESPN thing.
It
So
was it was like a published thing. Kid Blue was telling me about it on the Young Guns. He was like, it was in print or something like that.
that's really interesting. That's really interesting. What are your thoughts on who could be in the head coach running?
So, somebody else that's not in the 4, or is that what you're asking, or just talk about the 4?
Well, I'm talking. Well, yeah, someone who's not in the 4, maybe someone who's in the 4.
Okay, so for the guys that are in the 4, There's two of them that are not a surprise. The two Bryans. I feel like both of the defensive coordinators are a surprise. I like when Dan Quinn's name came out, it was definitely a surprise. And like I said, my opinion on him changed very quickly once I just thought about it a little bit more. I could see why you don't want him, all that, respect that. But he was definitely a surprise. Same with Leslie Frazier. Leslie Frazier kind of came out of nowhere. And I don't know, I don't remember if you were in the chat when Adam, the first caller, was on. Or no, Adam was the second caller. But I was like, Leslie Frazier, he's a really good defensive coordinator. He would be a second time head coach. He's just not somebody that I thought of for the Giants job. So you know what I mean? It's like, it's no disrespect to you, Leslie Frazier. I don't think you're the guy for the job. I kind of am leaning a bit more offensive minding, like a lot of Giants fans are right now. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like a lot of it obviously has to do with the fact that our offense has just been in shambles for the past 2 years. And honestly, if we get a defensive minded head coach, if he could hire a great offensive coordinator, we'll be fine on the offensive, or we should be fine. Let me correct myself, man. We should be fine because this team should have been fine a whole bunch of times in the past 5 years. As for a guy that isn't on that list right now, that could be on that list, I definitely think we should keep our eye out for. Who do I think we should keep our eye out for? No. I was, you know who I was about to say? I was about to say Jim Caldwell, but I feel like I'm just pushing that on myself now at this point. I feel like that's me trying to make that into a reality more than anything else. Let me pull up a list of head coaching candidates for this offseason. I don't
I
think Eric
have a
Bieniemy would be
lot
somebody.
myself.
Yeah,
Hold on. I have a
because
huge list. Yeah.
a,
And I
a
just
name
lost
that
my
fell off,
page.
right? Like everybody was talking about Eric Bieniemy, but not anymore. I don't think he would be a candidate
See,
anymore as well.
with Bieniemy, I mean, he
Let's. I found a name, but I'm gonna let you finish that real quick. I found a name. Yeah.
yeah. With Bieniemy, he's a good offensive coordinator, but I'm just wondering, it's been how many years since he's been getting head coaching interviews? Either so many organizations are dysfunctional across the NFL, or he's just not getting the job because he's not saying the right things or he's not putting out the right plan. That's just my, I would say, thing with him.
So here's the thing. All right. If Kellen Moore can leave the Cowboys, I think I would give Kellen Moore a shot. What about you?
I most definitely would give him a shot. I most definitely would. Um,
But
so I
I
have
think all signs point to them promoting him from within. Another name that Edward actually brought up in chat, which Giants fans are kind of avoiding because of our hate for the team he coached, would be Doug Peterson. But Doug
yeah.
Peterson is a very successful head coach. Got players to buy in. In fact, he has a history of getting players to buy in. Super Bowl winning coach. Like he has a great track record. What do you think about him?
I just don't know because it seems like more nowadays that some of these head coaches who get fired, they're going to take a year off.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think that all started with Mike McCarthy when he got fired. He took a year off, started to look at film or whatever the case was, and obviously got back in with the Cowboys. And then some of these other folks, I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, I think he was good, just learning off what other people say. Good in Kansas City is the OC before Matt Nagy, but I don't know. I just don't trust it. I just don't trust it for some reason. So, some of the head coaching candidates I do have, who are, may not be candidates. Some former head coaches, some also who have been interviewed. Uh, Kellen Moore, obviously, we talked about. Jonathan Gannon was actually interviewed once, I believe, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. Jack Del Rio, I mean, it would be his third time head coaching. I don't think he's going to do it again.
I just want to
Uh,
say to both the Cowboys and Eagles coaches that we brought up, the chat is not a fan.
I am not surprised in the slightest.
What do you think about
Um,
Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator of the Rams?
um, I don't think he would
Because
be.
I'm not saying this for you. I'm saying this for the chat. It's
Yeah,
not exactly like we have a big list to choose from in terms of head coaching prospects. It's smaller than I feel like a lot of you might think. But go ahead,
yeah.
bro.
I mean, you have the four popular names right now. I feel like if we're all in on the circle of head coaching names right now, maybe it was, let's just say, it's down to the four candidates. If they hired Raheem Morris, I think it would be like a Joe Judge. Obviously, we know who the guy is. It would just be such a surprise. It's not even funny.
Hmm.
Um, Let me see. Okay, so a couple other guys that. What do you think personally about this dude from San Francisco, Mike McDaniel?
I don't want him as the head coach because I want him to have a bit more experience. He's only been the offensive coordinator in San Fran for a single year. Before that, he was the running game coordinator, I guess. Listen, I don't want to this I guess this relates to Judge, right? Judge had like not that much experience on his resume. Mike McDaniel, you ain't got that much, and even if you did have a couple more years on your resume as an offensive coordinator for the Niners, there's still that big question of, all right, is it you or is it Shanahan? And I would lead Shanahan because he's the more proven dude. And before Mike McDaniel was the offensive coordinator there, we like everybody would say, oh, that's Shanahan's offense. Now, no hate to Mike McDaniel, because I really just feel like his name exploded because he's very like he's a meme. He's very easy to meme and he's very easy to just laugh with the things he says and stuff like that. No disrespect to his coaching at all, but that's kind of how I feel about him. What about you?
Yeah, I think he needs more time. I mean, obviously he's the geeky, funny dude, the smart dude in the room. I just don't think he's ready. What was I going to say? People were ready to hire Robert Sal after year one, and they gave him a couple years. Obviously, he's the head coach of the Jets now, but I'm just not a fan of. Oh well, he's this guy's the new hot topic. I mean, Brian Dable was actually interviewing for head coaching spots last year. I think I want to say so it was 2021 or 2020. He was interviewing, I think, for the Browns 2 years ago and a couple other spots. But they took a year and said, okay, we gotta see what this guy is. But I just don't feel he's ready. Same thing with DeMeco Ryan's the defensive coordinator. I'm just staying away from that.
Okay, so
There's
Ash dropped it in the chat. He said Dable was interviewing with the Jets and Chargers last year.
Jets and Chargers. Yeah, that sounds about right. There was one candidate I had in my mind or something. Now it's in the back of my head, and I don't know where it went. But with that being said, in terms of I think it was Bark Nasty was on earlier. I don't think it's an old head kind of thing to say, well, I don't want another offensive minded head coach. That kind of was honestly my I would say philosophy towards searching for one in 2020 because it seems like, yeah, okay, these guys are good offensive coordinators, but when they come here, they're not good. I mean, obviously, there's other luck with other organizations. You got Sean McVay. Everybody knows the 2013 picture, the Washington
Oh,
football
that's
team
been
staff.
circulated so many times now.
Yeah, and Mike McDaniel was on that staff. But with that being said,
What
um,
coach was he? How young was he
I,
then?
he was, I believe, assistant offensive line. So he was 30 years old.
Wow.
He
Okay.
was 30. Yeah, I remember because I looked him up and I'm like, okay, yeah, he was this at this time. So I don't think it's an old head type of response to say, well, we don't want another offensive coordinator. And I kind of like the way Judge worked. It kind of actually kind of pinned his, I would say, pros against him a little bit because obviously he didn't call plays, but he was just the CEO. Obviously, he didn't do it correctly, but he was just a CEO. He was not too much focused on this side and not enough focused on that side. That was Pat Shermer, where he didn't give two craps about the defense, and then the offense really wasn't that good. Obviously, because of our Giant fan standards over the last couple of years, it was kind of good in a way for Daniel Jones in his rookie year. And one more thing I would just like to say, me personally, I was actually having an argument with my brother on this week's Boys in the Big Apple because they're kind of hitting that stage as Jet fans. Okay, we have a lot of money in cap and Robert Sal and all this other stuff. And I said, look, you guys need to stop this right now because what's going to happen is you guys sign all the free agents, and if all your guys get hurt, Robert Sal is going to be wanted to be fired after year two, and this is what fourth year of Joe Douglas. So my suggestion is, and he went at me,
Oh,
obviously,
they're
why?
gonna be in almost same situation as we were.
Yeah, and me personally, just watching some of the Jet games this year because the Giants weren't too interesting, as we all know. I don't know. I don't think Salah is the future yet, but I don't think he's not the guy. I think he's right in the middle where he needs to prove so much more.
Was
And
that how you
then
felt about Judge last year? Or
Judge, I felt like, okay, we could win next year. If Salah was the head coach of the Giants in the same exact spot and all that stuff, I'd be like, okay, we need to keep building the draft picks, let that money roll over. And obviously, he was arguing with me whenever I said, look, your team, obviously it's the New York media. You need to let him show you progress and then you could start moving with free agents, let the money roll over. Obviously, it's the fourth year of their general manager. I had one other point, but basically, that's the mistake the Giants made because Joe Judge was a new head coach and they wanted to win in year two, despite what's his fault, what's not his fault, whatever the case may be. They wanted to win in year two. And with Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen coming in, it's not going to be okay year two. Year two is going to be by surprise if we do end up winning, because I somewhat do believe in a quick turnaround, but it's not like we're expecting it because of the cap situation and getting rid of the guys on this roster that actually do not belong here. So I'm more confident in the, and it's weird to say because the Jets, obviously, they're in the second year of their head coach, finished with the same record, but I actually believe a little bit more in our process than their process because everyone's like, oh, we got so much cap going free agency. Let that money roll over, build with draft picks. And that's what I like about Joe Schoen. He talks about building through the draft. He's actually very hands-on with draft prospects. And I know I'm taking up a lot of screen time,
No,
probably
that's
because
fine.
Ash is in the background too. Um, we saw with DeAndre Baker how many years ago how the Giants were in also in that Tyler Dunn article how he was sleeping through meetings, he was doing all this other stuff, and Pat Shermer wanted him still and said, "Okay, well we can fix him." And Dave Gilman said, "Okay, well I don't want to hear anything about this." They weren't hands on enough, so what happened is they drafted him. He was gone a year later. With Joe Schoen, I don't think you're going to get that. So
Mhm.
that's just why I like
I
Joe
mean,
Schoen so much.
we've
He's
heard
very
all the
hands on.
stories from Brandon Bean, from others. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, yo, this is talk about a class act that the Bills are. Brandon Bean is willing to do a Giants slash Bills kind of crossover press conference to talk about Joe Schoen being hired as our general manager. So he's gonna be taking questions, I'm guessing, both from Buffalo media and from New York media. That's talk about a class act. You're gonna get a lot of things answered. I think that a lot of people have questions about, and that's just great. Like that, I mentioned it several times. The confidence that Bean had in his guy, in Shane, and like that just shows you how much more. Like it kind of even ups that a little bit more. Like he believes in him so much, right? And the reason I even said that was because according to Bean, Shane had a hand in Josh Allen. You want to talk about, you were referring about him being hands on and whatnot. So I'll definitely hear what you're saying there.
Yeah, obviously Josh Allen was no slam dunk pick at the time. Obviously, his first 2 years, he was not a great quarterback, and
I
people
think I
thought,
think what the
he's
evaluation comes down to though is that the GM and the coaches, or front office and coaches, they evaluated, we can unlock his potential, right? And that they did eventually, right?
Yeah, I was talking to a Bills fan about that, and he said, well, the first 2 years of Josh Allen in his career, obviously rookie struggles, and that really they didn't have the personnel around him. And with the good thing about Joe Shane and the Brandon Beam process is, okay, if they don't get, let's just say they went heavy on defensive ends this year. They got Carlos Basham and they got
Greg
what's his face,
Rousseau, and last year they got
Rousseau.
AJ Epineza, because the
Yeah,
past 2 years it's like that Bills defense needs
yeah.
edge rushers.
Yeah, they need edge rushers, and they'll attack that position of need in the draft or wherever. Obviously, once again, building through the draft, that's what the Giants need to do. And I forgot the point I was actually going to, but that being said, yeah, they attacked that real quickly. And I knew what my point was going to be. Everybody talks about Brian Dable. Oh well, he's very pass heavy. He abandons the run. Well, honestly, in some of the games this season and in his past that I've seen, first of all, he started his career as an offensive coordinator. And I don't know that really anybody would care about this because it's almost 10 years ago. But when he started as an OC, he was really run heavy. Really run heavy. He had some really crappy quarterbacks, Brady Quinn, Matt Castle, some of these other guys, and he wasn't a successful OC, but he somewhat could run the football. And sometimes this season, you'll look at the stats. Josh Allen will only have 250 yards in a blowout. They run the football a lot. So when they do run the football and they pass a lot, like the Buccaneers, and in this situation, like the Buccaneers, that when they run it, they're very successful. And they've done good in Buffalo with that O line, which is something I hope they could bring here. And also,
And like
one
you
more
were saying,
thing.
attacking positions of need.
Yeah,
So
attacking those positions. And yeah, they do have a couple of misses. AJ Epineza, he's been
I mean,
playing
it's only his
minimal.
second year, no, so we'll
Right.
see.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna go with this. Damn. I had one more point to bring up. Buccaneers, no.
By the way,
Okay,
guys,
I
check
think
out Big Blue in the Bronx's channel. It's the same name. Alex, he has the Boys in the Big Apple podcast. Talks Giants and Yankees, man. And then on that podcast also talks Jets, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have to, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I'm gonna think of it as a split second. If not, obviously, feel free to kick me off and put Ash on.
Now I'll give you some time. I guess I'll ask the question I've been asking the last couple of callers. Where would you sit with DJ and Saquon right now?
Give Saquon another year and give DJ another year.
Mm-hmm.
I did a podcast episode a few days ago, and I was studying the cap numbers if they were to be traded, and it would obviously be this best case scenario, but at the same time, you're not cutting them, you're not doing anything like that. I mean, there's no value out there for them. So your best case scenario is honestly keeping them. Then next year, Saquon goes, you could decline Daniel Jones's option, maybe trade him somewhere, stuff like that, and then obviously the building will continue and stuff like that. So that's honestly where I am with both of them. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I once again trust the process with Joe Schoen and this
Yeah.
whole front office. Hopefully he gets it right.
So Alex, I do have to kick you off now. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the time. I'm like, all right, I gotta get Ash on here and hear what
Yeah.
he has to say. But thank you so much for calling in, bro. Once again, guys, go check him out. And any last thoughts before I pop you off, bro?
And no last thoughts. I mean, obviously I'm sitting in kind of a dark with the rim lights, but it's not so much darkness anymore.
Did
There's
you get a
light at
new
the end of the
camera or
tunnel.
something? I don't know. The camera looks
Yeah,
better.
I also put in the virtual background, the blur virtual background, but I got this new camera for my brother because he was for the last couple of months he was using the Apple camera, and I'm like, okay, we need to upgrade this right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm using his, and then obviously I got mine back there, but yeah, upgrade there. Obviously, light at the end of the tunnel for the Giants, and let's see who they bring in. Let's see who they bring in because they need to be very quick with these head coaching interviews. The Broncos already got 10 candidates interviewed, apparently.
Yeah, the Broncos moving fast. Alex, thank you, man. Have a good one, bro.
Peace.
Ash, are you gonna turn your camera on or what's up, bro?
I'm on my phone right now, so
Oh, heard you.
not really at my
Before we
not at
say
my
anything
setup,
else, Ash, let the people in the chat know that we pushing P, man.
bro. We're pushing P, and if you don't know what pushing P means, then you don't need to use the term P. You
Listen,
don't need to use the
me
emoji,
and
bro.
Ash brought the revolution to Twitter. All right, you see everybody
Bro,
on Giants Twitter using that now. That's because of us.
bro, we even had Taylor using P, and he don't even know what it means. So
Yeah.
we started this revolution. But nah, what's up? I just wanted to, while I was cooking,
Yeah.
I got a little bit of free time.
Oh, for sure.
Just
And by the
wanted
way,
to come
guys,
on.
you see the name on his logo right there. Go check him out to Get Back with Ashton. He's on my channel
Yeah.
almost like all the time, man. Like weekly. And I'm gonna be on his when he does a call in. I mean, a play-by-play show for one of the weekend games.
Yeah, and we're gonna like I said to you personally, we're gonna do like a lot of stuff this off season.
Mhm.
If you are so with it, just but
Oh
like
yeah, I am. Yeah.
mock draft specials, just a lot of stuff, draft specials or stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of stuff. But I just wanted to come on and say, I mean, I'm sure we all know the next head coach is either going to be one of the two Bryans.
I got a
Like,
prediction. I'll make a bold prediction right now on who the next head coach
go ahead.
is. You ready? Is the chat ready? I genuinely think that the next head coach of the New York Giants is going to be Brian.
And a lot of people haven't been, they haven't been focusing on that. I think we're the
Yeah.
only ones that really predict. Anyway, I do think Brian Flores does get a little bit too much hate. I get it, like all the stuff that came out about him. I just, me personally, I just feel like that is just something that was an organizational issue rather than an issue towards him.
Mhm.
I mean, do y'all even remember the last time Miami was even like relevant? I mean, in sports, the only team that was relevant in sports in Miami was really the Heat. I mean, Miami,
Yeah.
the football hasn't really been relevant. And Brian Flores came in and turned that whole I said whore, I'm sorry. That
Why did you
whole
repeat it, bro? Why would you repeat it?
that whole organization
Are you
And
there?
then we had the reports. Am I there?
Oh,
Can you
you
hear
cut
me?
out for a while. I heard whole
Oh,
organization, then I hear anything after that.
he turned that whole organization around. And then they had reports about him and Watson talking, and about how they would ideally like to be in a place where they're like to go to a team where they're both on the team together.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is just like, and even when Brian Flores comes in with all those reports, you're not going to go that interview without bringing up Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like Deshaun Watson's going to be brought up in that interview. And if that happens, if we hire Brian Flores and we trade for Deshaun Watson, you don't have to worry about Brian Flores putting together an offense. Deshaun Watson is your offense. And a lot of people want to say, like, we got to wait till he's clean. I feel like I feel like, and we don't even have to get into it, but I feel like if he really like did it, like, or if the stuff was serious, like I don't, I feel like he did go to those girls or some of those girls, but I don't feel like it was like they made it or it's as serious as they like. I don't feel like he did anything negative or anything
Careful,
like
you're
that.
you're tiptoeing a very dangerous line here.
I know. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm not saying that. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying they're lying. But my thing is just like, why would you be talking to a coach about you're discussing your NFL future if you really did something like that? I mean, that's just something that some people would should look at.
Mm-hmm.
But
But what? Did you cut out again or did you pause?
oh, sorry, I went out of the StreamYard on my phone. But if anybody thinks I'm being like offensive or anything, I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm not picking a side or anything on that case. But what I'm saying is that a lot of things are being brought up about Brian Flores, not being able to establish offense. If you bring over Deshaun Watson, I feel like those concerns should go away because he is your offense. But
Mm-hmm.
either way, whichever Brian you pick, you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk by bringing in Brian Flores. Obviously, the stuff that is coming. That's really the only knock against him because he is a
Mm-hmm.
winner. He turned the organization around. He put in, and I forget. I think Adam said it earlier while I was listening. Every game on that 7-game stretch after they started 1-7 was basically a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I don't really want to hear about who he's played against because you really have that thought in the back of your head, like, oh, I gotta turn this around. And then they won those 7 games, and even teams like the Houston Texans, teams like the New York Jets, teams like I mean, they did beat Baltimore, and teams like I said, the Houston Texans went on and they faced really a lot of people tough. They beat the Los Angeles Chargers, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm not calling them like some good team, but they did really exceed expectations. And the fact that they fired David Culley was really mind blowing. Like, to me, I feel like they did him wrong, and he really exceeded expectations that a lot of people had for their team, even at 4 wins. Um, the Jets, we were watching that game live. They really should have beat Tampa Bay, and we probably would have had the 4th pick in the draft right now if they didn't do a QB sneak on 4th and 2. But
Yeah.
that's neither here or there. But and then you're taking a risk with Brian Daboll just basically because he's a first time coach, right? He's going to be a first time coach, so it's going to be a process with him. And a lot of fans, they don't what we see what we saw with Joe Judge. It was like if it gets that bad, they're going to want to fire him after 2 years. And
Yeah.
I want to say this to a lot of people because look, the smart thing to do right now is to bring back Daniel Jones. But I hope everybody takes this into consideration that if we do bring in Brian Daboll, it is going to be a real possibility that we look at Malik Willis. Shane and Daboll, I forgot which one it was, but one of them sent out scouts to Liberty this year 3 times this past season, to look at Malik Willis. I've said it, Malik Willis as a prospect is similar to what Josh Allen was coming out of college, a big arm quarterback, a playmaking quarterback, but also a quarterback that had issues with his mechanics, with his footwork, and his accuracy. That's something that Brian Daboll took in when he was, when he first began as the offensive coordinator for the Bills and fixed that Josh Allen, he might look at Malik Willis and say, maybe I can fix this. So I just want to, a lot of people to think about that. And before I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm not saying that is right. But before you go on and say, yeah, I want Brian Daboll, you got to think about all the stuff that's coming in. Also, shout out to this person, but he brought it up on Miz's stream. And Miz said, he said that with Brian Daboll's offense, and I actually found this interesting. Brian Daboll's offense, you're going to need a receiver. So it's not really out the realm of the possibility. I'm not saying that I want this.
I mean, hold up. Before you go and say anything, I mean, hopefully Galladay stay healthy and he is that receiver unless you're suggesting something else.
Well, I'm saying the type of receiver. With Brian Daboll's offense, he runs a lot of deep mid crossing routes. You're going to need speedy guys.
Isn't that Kadarius Toney, bro?
Yeah, but you're also going to need another. Just think about the Bills. Bro, receiver.
Listen. Kadarius Toney and Brian Daboll's offense, in my opinion, is the guy you're talking about. That's all I'm going to say.
That's just one guy on our team.
And then you got KG. Bro, when healthy, these two could be a great duo.
No, I'm not denying that. But I'm saying, look at how his offense is built. In Buffalo, Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie, Gabriel Davis. I mean, look at even they added on Emmanuel Sanders. These are dudes that get after the ball and really they have really a kind of good speed to them. So I'm saying maybe
John Ross. I hope we keep John Ross.
Yeah, but maybe he views him. I mean, yeah, we can keep John Ross, but I'm just stating it as a suggestion, as a potential suggestion made by Brian Daboll. Maybe he looks at Garrett Wilson and wants to, view him at 7. Thank you. Maybe he wants to, look at him at 7, at pick 7.
Ash Money ain't pushing P, guys. I take it back.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Why would you bring that up, bro?
Bro, this is the.
I don't see that, man.
Bro, listen. This is the conversation.
Because let's go back to literally the last caller, right? Let's go back to what Alex was saying, and I agree with what Alex was saying. The Bills have shown that when there's like a glaring position in need, they attack that. Right? The glaring position in need right now is the O-line. And you could argue quarterback if you want to say that. So I feel like those two would be what they would be attacking.
Yeah, I'm listen. If anybody thinks, because I know a lot of people like to jump the gun. I'm not saying I want to draft a receiver at 7. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just bringing it up as a suggestion, probably something that Daboll wants. It's just something that if you want to conclude, if you want to go jump the gun and say you want him as your guy, this is stuff that you're gonna have to think about. Stuff that's gonna come up in the war room. Stuff that you might want to. Maybe he looks at Garrett Wilson as a can't miss receiver, and he wants to jump the gun and take him. This stuff you got to think about. But either way, you're taking a risk by hiring both of them. I'd be fine. The only way I've gone on record, I've said the only way that I see Flores working in New York is with Deshaun Watson here. And I feel like that's the best scenario because you have a coach that proves that he's a winner. You have a top 5 quarterback just off the bat. You have a top 5 quarterback if he's clean. And also a lot of people, they're worried about what Houston's asking for. I just want to remind a lot of people that Deshaun Watson has a no trade clause. So Houston's going to have to settle. I thought out the scenario, like say Denver offered Houston 3 first-round picks. Pittsburgh offers Houston 3 first-round picks, but we only offered Houston 2 first-round picks, 1 this year, 1 next year, and maybe Daniel Jones or something, a trade package that only involved 2 first-round picks. And Deshaun Watson doesn't want to waive his no trade clause to any of those teams, except the Giants. Houston is going to have to, if they want to get something for Deshaun Watson, they're going to have to trade him to the Giants because Deshaun Watson has the no trade clause, unless they're just going to cut him and then they're going to get nothing in return. So that's just something that a lot of people, I think, need to take into thought. And then also Brian Daboll, the New England. I'm just saying a lot of things I heard throughout the show. I'm not coming at anybody's opinions, but I do feel like the Brian Daboll or the Brian Flores, we don't want another Patriot dude. Is kind of kind of it's not valid to me because Brian Daboll was a Patriot dude, and even when he left the Patriots, Bill Belichick brought him back. So
Yeah.
that's just say a lot about Brian Daboll and his connection with Bill Belichick. So just want to state some things that a lot of people should take into thought. Um, but yeah, and in terms of like Brian Flores, like a lot of people were like, who will we bring in as offensive coordinator? I really have a theory, and I really hope that I felt like Pep Hamilton wanted to stay with Houston because there was news that Brian Flores was the front runner for the Houston head coaching job. Um, so maybe that could change if we hire him, and maybe he could bring in Pep Hamilton as offensive coordinator. That's just like a pipe dream for me, because then I really won't have to, or in my eyes, I really won't worry about the offense to me.
Okay.
But I could see him bringing back Patrick Graham as well. I know, like, I feel like some people got it confused that if Brian Flores fired Patrick Graham, I just feel like Patrick Graham just took a better offer with the Giants because he got, the assistant head coach. He got a better role with the um, defensive coordinator job for the Giants with the assistant head coach. And that's actually a rule, I believe. I think you got to offer, in order from a coordinator to go from a coordinator job to a coordinator job, you have to offer. It has to be like a more of a role. Like you have to give them an improved role or something like that. But don't hold me on that. But
Yeah.
I would
And
obviously love. Sorry, I was just saying I would obviously love Wink Martindale as the defensive coordinator.
mhm.
You can go on. I'm done.
Oh no, I don't think I have any question for you. You kind of answered everything, even down to the Wink Martindale at the end, because I was about to ask that when you start talking about Patrick Graham. I don't have much else to ask. Yeah.
Also, if you did want to ask about who would I want defensive coordinator, outside of Wink,
Other than Wink,
I would love Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator as well.
I got a
That was
theory, or just a prediction, I guess. I think Fangio is gonna want to play for a veteran head coach, and because of that,
yeah,
I see Fangio replacing Wink at the Ravens actually
in Baltimore.
in Baltimore.
Yeah,
I can
yeah,
see that happening a lot, and if that happens, and if we get rid of Patrick Graham, obviously I would want to Wink, but if we keep
yeah,
Patrick Graham, I'm happy as well. What up, sober party
yeah.
in there?
Yeah, I would feel that as a good match, even if we keep Patrick Graham and replace him. That was also one of my other theories. Like if we, let's say, a pipe dream of bringing in Jim Harbaugh, I think we would automatically get Vic Fangio as our defensive coordinator just because he was the coordinator in San Francisco the whole tenure Jim Harbaugh had. So um, but yeah, I would love Vic Fangio as our defensive coordinator outside of Patrick Graham and Wink Martindale. I was really surprised why they like part ways with him. I'm kind of interested in seeing why that happened, and what led to it. Um, but yeah, I don't really got. I know I've just been waiting or
It's
when
fine.
going on and on, but yeah, I don't really have nothing to say. Nothing else
It's
to say.
fine, man. And thank you for all the things you were saying, because like I said, you answered all the questions. Shout out to Antoine for just subbing. What that just reminded me of, because of the sub alert, is that I gotta find new gifts, because we don't know if Daniel Jones gonna be here anymore. I have a gift with Saquon. I don't know if we don't know if he gonna be here anymore. I gotta find new Giants gifts, bro. But this is what I'm about to say. Before I end it, not even a Giants question. Did you peep the new logo? Or
Oh
not new
yeah, I
logo,
did.
the logo for Just Chillin'.
I pipped it. It's kind of like it's a little bit cut off
Mm-hmm.
by Joe Schoen's head,
Oh yeah,
but I did peep
that's
it.
the watermark part, but the logo is the
Yeah.
circle one that was on the thumbnail. But yeah,
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and check that out. But yeah, y'all episode was really good. I really enjoyed it. Kid Blue was he's something else, man. He is something else.
and that's where we're gonna leave it at, man. I'm gonna end it right here, y'all. Thank you guys, all of y'all, for tuning in. We got a couple new people in here. I hope you guys gonna stick around in the future. This call-in show, which was tonight, was only done tonight because Shane was hired. It's usually on Tuesday nights, and it's gonna occur again, other than Tuesday, if, for example, we hire a coach, on a random day of the week. You know what I mean? And of course, I do the
Yeah.
Young Guns podcast with Kid Blue every Wednesday. It rotates, and expect things from me and Ash and a couple other content creators coming down the line as well. Thank you all for tuning in, and we're out.